intermission wide now to Edmonton, site of Game 2. The Winnipeg Jets play the Edmonton Oilers, fresh from 2 ties in Games 1 on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. You can really feel the pressure building in arenas around Canada. You see the players who aren't dressed for tonight's games gathered in front of the TVs watching the 2 games that just took place. Big news here in Edmonton. The Oilers won't have Brian Marchment. He's suspended in the wake of an altercation. He was involved in a fight while off the ice versus St. Louis Thursday. Brian Burke rules on that tomorrow. And Bill Ranford won't dress for Edmonton tonight. I spoke to Oiler head coach Ron Lowe about Ranford's status moments ago.
Your referee, Mark Fonseca. The linesman
weekly after warm-up this morning, he went back and had his lay down for the afternoon and got out of bed and couldn't move. His back is spasmed up pretty bad. There's no way he can play tonight.
So Freddie goes, he played against Winnipeg in a win, but not that recently. Are you concerned in a big game like this? Obviously you are.
Not really. Freddie played a heck of a game. Started us on this streak in Vancouver about 3 weeks ago. Played a great game when Billy's wife had the baby. Freddie's always ready to go.
And is Joaquin Gage here to dress to back up?
Yes, he is. He's here. He's getting dressed right now.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right.
Fans of the Oshawa Generals remember Freddie Brathwaite coming in relief in the 1990 Memorial Cup as the Generals beat Mike Torkey and the Kitchener Rangers. So he's been in this place many occasions. A big, important game for Edmonton. John Muckler knows what they'll miss in not having Bill Ranford, but he's got more important concerns now, and I'm sure we'll be pleased with the point they get at the Forum. Let's go to Ken Daniels.
A 3-3 final at the Montreal Forum. There's John Muckler, a pretty happy coach on the Sabres bench. You haven't clinched a playoff spot yet, but you no longer have to worry about Montreal. You seem pretty relaxed tonight.
Well, I was. These are enjoyable, really. They're a lot of fun, and our club's been playing pretty well lately. We got on a roll there and won 3 straight games. We lost last night in Washington and then came in here and we took on the challenge. I mean, we came out real good in the first period, got the 1-0 lead, and they came back and tied it, and then we came right back and made it 2-1, and the big goal was that goal late in the second period, and we tied it 3-3.
Were you surprised at all how your team came out tonight, considering you played last night in Washington, lost, and you came out, the legs were great?
No, I knew that we were going to come out big for the simple reason that this club is a very proud hockey club. We've worked through a lot of adversity all year long. We haven't had a full lineup yet. We still have Bodgers out tonight and Dale Howard-Chuck, our number 2 center iceman's out. So we've had to work through a lot of adversity all year long, and this club's come up big all year.
Just quickly, a thought on Dominic Hasek, who tonight, an incredible save on Pierre Turgeon. He amazed you every game.
He just gets better and better. I mean, obviously, I don't know what we do without him. I mean, he's the best goalkeeper in the National Hockey League, and it's nice to have him back there, and practically every night he gives you a chance to win.
Well, John, thank you, and good luck. You haven't clinched yet, but we'll see what Florida does down, although I'm sure you think you're going to anyway. Good luck down the stretch.
Thank you very much.
John Muckler of the Buffalo Sabres, his team just about in the playoffs. Right now, let's take you to the Edmonton Coliseum. And here is Ron McLean.
Super Ken will only stop here long enough to tell you that while we're on the topic of hot goaltending, that was a bit of it for the Calgary Flames. Rick Tabaracci got the start against Toronto. Let's go now to the Saddle Dome, and here's Scott Russell.
Rick Tabaracci came from the Washington Capitals to the Calgary Flames at the trade deadline for a conditional 5th-round draft choice. All he's done, 2 wins and a tie so far. How satisfying is that?
Actually, it's a great feeling. It was nice for me to get out of Washington. I think time had run out at that point as far as my playing. Jim Carey came in, played real well. I was injured, and it didn't look like I was going to get back in, along with a few other things. And it was a great opportunity to come to Calgary. Great team here. The management's been unbelievable so far. I mean, everything from Kinger trying to get me 10 minutes at the end of a game when we were well up and the game was in hand to playing off and on. So I'm really looking forward to it, and a good shot in the playoffs.
A very quick question here. Trevor Kidd has gone most of the way for Calgary. Do you envision, though, a chance where you'll get some time with some playoff experience to get in the net in the postseason?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that was part of the package when I came here. Part of the reasoning is that I've played in the playoffs. Kidd, Trefilov haven't played, so it's going to be an advantage. It's going to be something that may allow me to get in there a little bit easier than if I didn't have that experience. So I'm just looking forward to things going well, and our team's playing well. As long as we're doing that and we're rolling around, I'm sure that the chance is going to come.
Rick, congratulations. Rick Tabaracci of the Flames, a 2-2 tie, the Leafs and the Flames. Let's go to Ron McLean at the Coliseum.
with Don Cherry. Scott?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, you know, you can say what you want about Marchment. When you're a forward, when you're coming down, he's not going to be playing tonight. You have your head up, you're saying, where is that guy? They're going to miss him. They're also going to miss, as everybody knows, Billy Ranford. He's the guy who's been keeping him in there all the time. Maybe the best goaltender in hockey.
Brathwaite, I said, had that Memorial Cup experience. He's got to feel good about that. He scored a goal in junior with Detroit. He's a guy that seems very cool in circumstances such as these.
You know, this is the kind of guy that'll come up and stand on his head. He's got his one chance, and he's going to make the best of it. So it's a tough spot to put him in because this could be the playoffs for both teams. What an exciting. This is like the 7th game of Stanley Cup.
What if Winnipeg sees all this and thinks, whew, this will be easy now?
Well, I've seen that before. Hey, you get your mind off it. Let's start shooting from anywhere. Throws you off a little bit. But I'll tell you, folks, I've been in a right place for first place, and I've been in a place for a playoff. It is more exciting trying to get into those playoffs. I'll tell you something. These guys are going to be like it's a 7th game of a Stanley Cup.
The San Jose Sharks have a 1-point cushion on Edmonton. They have a 2-point cushion on the Winnipeg Jets. It's such a logjam there, and the big news is Dallas lost today, so they only have 1 game left. Paul Lorio's just taking the ice, so rather than miss anything here, Don, let's send it off to break. We'll be coming back to tell you more of the story about the Jets, their future, and, of course, the playoff race for Edmonton and Winnipeg next from Edmonton.
We bought the Ford Windstar because we were expecting a 3rd child. He fit in actually really well.
The kids have gone crazy over him.
We wanted a safe vehicle with a very smooth and quiet ride.
We like to do a lot of family things together.
Now we have our Windstar to do it in.
Golly gee whiz, I'm on the road again. So I choose Choice Hotels, Canada's largest lodging chain. Always clean, comfortable, and affordable. Simply super. Okay, back it up. There in the corner. Golly jeepers, that's super clean.
Score with Choice Hotels. Great corporate rates at Econo Lodge, Friendship, and Roadway starting at $47. And now introducing free local calls.
That's just great hockey. I mean, hospitality. He's right, you know.
This portion of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC, brought to you by Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited.
Welcome to the Edmonton Coliseum. Chris Cuthbert and John Garrett on hand. Final Saturday of the regular season, and it has the atmosphere of the first Saturday of the playoffs. Jets and Oilers clashing here tonight. Nikolai Habibulin gets his first start against Edmonton this year. A couple of relief roles, and he was great Thursday against Detroit. A first-star performance. But the big story here, Fred Brathwaite getting the start, as Ron mentioned, instead of Bill Ranford down with back spasms, and you've got to think the biggest start of this young guy's NHL career.
And the good thing for Freddie is he hasn't had all day to worry about it. He seems to play better when he's just thrown into the fire, and he doesn't get as nervous. He comes to the rink, finds out he's playing, and he doesn't have all day to think about it, and I think Freddie will be sharp.
It's his 6th start of the year. His last start was a win over the Vancouver Canucks April 13th, 6-4. So we're underway. And players on either team calling this easily the biggest game they played this year. Puck comes outside the line. Emerson starting up front with Eastwood and Tkachuk for Winnipeg. It's Arnott, Corson, and Buchberger for the Oilers. And a lead pass on right wing, too far for Emerson. Ken Sutton scrambling back to get it. And icing is the call.
Cape Breton Oilers did not make the playoffs this year. A number of players called up to Edmonton on standby. Joaquin Gage is one of them. A youngster, like many of the other Edmonton Oilers, only 21 years old. Held in high regard by Ron Lowe and the rest of the coaching staff of the Edmonton Oilers. And what a thrill this must be for him to even be sitting on the bench and being part of it. And as you said, Chris, the biggest game of the year for both teams. And the good thing about the Oilers playing at home, he does get to sit on the bench. He doesn't have to sit in the Zamboni area.
Well, we're told for a short time anyway, when Bill Ranford's status was announced, they weren't quite sure where Gage was. They knew where John Garrett was, just in case.
That's right. Jim Poplinski can do it? Maybe no.
And, well, you were a backup for a on call for the Oilers a few years back for one game. Here's Jamnov in his own zone, putting it in behind the net. Doug waits there for the Oilers. He drops it off, and Jamnov now rings it around for Igor Korolev on left wing. Lead pass cut off by Richardson, and back comes Seeger, the hero Thursday night with the overtime goal and a controversial win for Edmonton over St. Louis as the puck deflects over the glass and out of play.
Winnipeg Jets have had problems on the road all year long. 1-10-2 since February 24th. Their last road win came in Chicago on the 21st of April, and after this Edmonton game, the Winnipeg Jets move on to Chicago to play the Blackhawks on Monday, and then they're at home on Tuesday to finish their season against the LA Kings. So should they win this game, they must have some confidence going into Chicago, and then against LA at home, they should feel good about that one.
Terry Simpson not skirting the issue, though. He says the Jets have to win all three to ensure a playoff spot. Both teams getting a boost today, though, as Ron McLean mentioned. That loss by Dallas may open up another spot. The races are for 7th and 8th in the West, not just that 8th position. Slager back in his own zone. He's met by Ed Olczyk. There's a big hit delivered by Scott Thornton, but a penalty coming up as 2 17s collided. Thornton on Chris King, and Thornton's headed off.
Mark Fawcett is waving at Thornton, gives him the boarding signal. Chris King is very good at drawing penalties. He's agitating, and he'll turn his numbers to take the hit. He gets turned around, and Thornton runs at him, and Chris King draws that boarding penalty. That was a good clean hit by Thornton, other than the fact that Chris King got turned around.
Boy, Thornton really laid out Doug Lidster Thursday night with a punishing hit. It was called for interference. As we get set for this first Jet power play of the game, they rank 10th in the NHL, but 4th on the road.
The problems against the Edmonton Oilers, a lot of it has to do with their power plays.
How about Chris King in the game tonight? Hasn't been able to walk very good for a couple of days. Didn't skate this morning or yesterday. Stu Grimson fell on his leg in action on Thursday night, and they really didn't know if he could go tonight.
Waited till after the warm-up, Terry Simpson was saying, see how he goes, but he knew how tough Chris King was. Had him penciled in early.
Tkachuk, Jamnov, Solani up front. Dave Manson and Numanen are the defensemen as Numanen shoots it in. Off the boards, Olesen there for the Oilers. Richardson pushes it around. Buchberger gives chase. Numanen kept it in. And out comes to Solani and Jamnov. Back to Numanen. Buchberger on him. Jamnov, far side to Manson. Corson watching him as Manson shooting, and a deflection right on. First save for Brathwaite. Here's Tkachuk. Couple of goals against Detroit in the big win Thursday night. Jamnov, leading scorer for the Jets. Manson rings it around. 1 minute gone, and the penalty to Thornton. Numanen keeps it in. And a nice play there by Richardson to cut off the pass. Solani was winding up, getting ready for the one-timer. And there's Manson with a high stick. And a penalty coming up against Winnipeg as Manson gets the stick up high on Shane Corson.
Now Mark Fawcett comes over to see what Corson's like, and he flashes the 2. Check to see if Corson was bleeding. The Jets have had problems with undisciplined penalties all year long. They had a team meeting early in the year to decide among themselves they were going to fine each other for undisciplined penalties. Corson is very good at drawing penalties, much like Chris King. Manson had the stick up. Corson drew it over his chin and drew the high sticking penalty.
And the former Oiler now has 139 minutes on the year.
Corson has to be a leader on this Oiler team, and Ron Lowe feels he has been in the last 2 weeks. Shane Corson, Doug Waite, his leaders have really been leaders, but unfortunately for Ron Lowe, one of them, Bill Ranford, not in the net tonight.
We played 2:49, and there's 49 seconds to go in the penalty to Thornton, and then the Oilers will have a brief power play. Here's Korolev going after it against Dean Kennedy, former Jet, forced into action tonight with the suspension, or at least the marksman review pending. Shannon puts it back into the pile. Now Emerson trying to spin away, but Sutton made the check. Korolev. 4-on-4 action. And Emerson, smooth skater, hands it off to Shannon. The back pass into the corner, and Emerson with it again. 5 seconds left in the penalty as Quintel came down from the point. Here's a shot high and wide. Korolev behind the net, met by Kennedy. And Dean Kennedy takes over and just gets it out to center. And now the Oilers have a man advantage as Scott Thornton's out of the penalty box and the power play unit comes on. Wade out there, Oliver, Arnott. And 52 seconds to work with for the Oilers with the man advantage. Here's Oliver. He has 10 power play goals. David Oliver in front that Corson just missed. And it's cleared by Eastwood back into the Oilers zone. Jason Arnott leads them to center and fires it in on Habibulin. Newmanen finds some room and shoots it back down.
Long shots like that, Nikolai Habibulin gives off those big rebounds, and they're usually right in front of the net.
Offside the call. Let's join Ron McLean.
First intermissions of game 2. So, Don, what's on your mind here?
Well, you know what really upsets me? This is exactly what's wrong with hockey. First of all, that was not boarding. Thornton did not board him. That was a good check. And what that does is that tells the rest of the players a minute and so go, don't hit, don't be physical because you're going to call a penalty. Now, on the other side, Manson, you could see that. Anybody could see that. The Corson, smart guy, grabbed the stick and brought it up around his face and caused the penalty. Now, this is exactly what's the matter with hockey when refereeing has it like that, and that's my opinion right there. You cannot have officiating like that.
Second game in a row that Zebras have been under the gun here in Edmonton, fellas.
Sure is. Paul Dvorsky, the center of attention on Thursday night. I told you there was a playoff atmosphere here. Grapes all fired up, and we're just 4.5 minutes in.
There really is, and I agree with Don that they should look at the players involved and say, well, this guy draws a lot of penalties, maybe a little more lenient.
Here's Seeger in front, and the bouncing puck hopped over the stick of Waite. And now Emerson comes back. Here's Nelson Emerson in front. Kachuk was tied up, and the Oilers turn, but Winnipeg back at full strength to Seeger. Drops it off. Doug Waite takes a look and fires in on Habibulin. And Quintel now, his lead pass. There was off Slager.
There was another one of those rebounds right out in front by Habibulin. He takes an awful lot off his chest protector and just leaves him in front.
Seeger gives it away, and Solani turns. Has Shamnov bursting in. And a great stop there. Brathwaite got a piece of it. And the youngster comes up big in the early going. Kept in, Manson shot right on. There's a rebound, loose in front. And finally, Slager turns back with Waite. And Slager will jump up on the play. Waite with a shot, and that deflects high off the glass. That's a big confidence boost at the other end for Brathwaite. Here's the steal. It's Thornton working against Manson. Puts it in front. Maltby with the backhand wide. Korolev chops it past Olesen and down the ice. Richardson touches it, icing the call against the Winnipeg Jets. 6:02 into the first period. We're scoreless in Edmonton.
What are you doing there?
Today's world of beers, Molson Dries in a world all its own.
So, Christian, we should be having been sweet up in his bedroom for the name's Nick.
Oh, with this little fella, I won't have to call a queen me aunt. Traveling the doctor speaking about kind of place he days. Prince, and that's without going within a push through the hole in the wall.
Miss Percent, she must do him in the door and then.
And with the video capture capability to make a cat pass. It's not the right picture. Ask me to myself then I can fight you with.
Chris, you talked about a confidence boost for Freddie Brathwaite. He played it like a confidence goaltender on Alexei Zhamnov. Up the middle, Brathwaite patient. Wait for the player to make the move first. Zhamnov decides to shoot. Brathwaite's there, able to react.
Well, he beat the best Winnipeg has to offer. 29 goals, 60 points. Zhamnov is third in NHL scoring. 10 back of Eric Lindros and 5 behind Yager. What a spot for Brett Brathwaite tonight. Horton on this face-off against Murray, and Murray wins the draw. Newman pass behind Chris King, and Freddie Olofsson has it. Paired with Luke Richardson. Rink wide off a skate, and King turns back with it. And Olczyk streaking in, looking for a rebound. It's kicked out, and Stapleton turns back. Check that Todd Marchant dropping it, and Oliver missed the pass. Nice back-checking by Chris King. King sending it in for Eastwood. The shot kicked out by Brathwaite. And now King puts it in front. Eastwood with the backhand. That goes high. Centered again. Here's King winding up. Shot doesn't get through. Marchant and Olczyk fencing, and it's Marchant trying to clear it. Now the Oilers get it out. 6-2 shots on goal in favor of the Jets here in the early going. Eastwood tied up. Sutton off the boards. Dan Arnott in full flight down the right side, looking for Corson. Here's Corson centering it. Backhand, Buchberger. And Arnott looking for the rebound. Puck comes to Abby Boulin, and he'll hang on. Third game, Buchberger on this line, and Ron Lowe was telling us that Buchberger seems to be getting the best of the chances. He had one there on Abby Boulin.
All the fun of Monopoly is back at McDonald's. You could win
$1 million?
It's bigger and better than last time with $10 million in prizes to be won. It's supersized excitement. You could win a Dodge Viper, shopping sprees, cruises,
Sega Game Gear with Sonic Triple Trouble.
Get 2 chances to win when you buy any of these favorites. You could win big instantly or collect a Monopoly and win. So go directly to McDonald's and play the Monopoly game.
Have you had your breakfast today?
Remember what phone calls used to cost? Well, it's back, and it's from Cantel, the company that brought you affordable cellular. Introducing Amigo Time, the new 10-cent a minute leisure rate you get with Amigo. For $19.95 a month, talk all you want after 6 p.m. and the entire weekend. All for just $0.10 a minute. There's never been a better time. Amigo Time.
Nikolai Habibula getting himself in the right position to stop the shot, and then the backhand. The puck comes out to Kelly Buchberger. He doesn't shoot it, but then he finally directs it on the net, and there's always a rebound with Nikolai Habibula. And if you go to the net, there is a rebound there. Arnott just banged it wide.
And Arnott on this face-off wins the draw. It comes back to Sutton. There's a shot, and that one seemed to catch part of the post. Buchberger rings it around. Corson far side. Buchberger behind the net. Arnott loose in front, but the pass broken up. Buchberger gets it again out in front, and Tkachuk there for Winnipeg. Bouncing it through center ice, and Buchberger hooked down. Penalty coming up.
I wonder if Ontario liked that penalty. Daryl Shannon at center ice gets the stick on Kelly Buchberger, and Buchberger made that one look a little more dramatic than it was. Neutral zone, not affecting the play, and the penalty called by Mark Cossette. Daryl Shannon just reaches out, gives Buchberger a little tug, and Buchberger gets the arms up and the stick up and draws the penalty.
Well, 2 of the 3 most penalized teams in the NHL on the ice tonight. Only Calgary has taken more minutes than Edmonton and Winnipeg this year. And we'll get our second look at the Oiler power play, but really their first full power play for Ron Lowe's squad.
Get a reputation when you get towards the end of the season, even a shortened season like this. You get a reputation as a team that takes a lot of penalties, so then you get a call like that one. A little hook by Daryl Shannon. Buchberger goes down, the penalty's called.
Checking the scores from other games tonight, the Ottawa Senators with a franchise-high 3
in a row.
consecutive wins.
And Quebec with a win. They've gone a long time without one. 5 games.
Ties for Toronto and Calgary, Buffalo and Montreal, and here we're scoreless. Approaching the 8-minute mark of the first period as Arnott clears it in. Oliver going after it. Kravchuk keeps it at the left point. Now to Arnott. Takes that big shot. Now back to Arnott. Waits in low, and the shot went wide. And around the boards out to center. Here's Arnott to the line. Watched by Numanen, rolling it in. Habibulin hit Oliver with it, but Numanen gets it back and sends it 200 feet.
Rob Murray doing a good job up front for the Jets, playing with a face shield on. He took over 50 stitches in the face, and that's hard to see. Doesn't play a whole lot, just those penalties.
Kravchuk around the boards, Wade after it, but Tkachuk got there first. Here's Corson behind the net. Feeds it back to Arnott. Now Wade to Kravchuk, spinning away from Eastwood. Hanging on. Now Oliver back to Arnott again. Oilers on the perimeter, but not getting the shots away. Now in deep. Habibulin down, and he stopped Corson. Puck comes loose after the whistle.
Mark Fawcett couldn't see that puck. He was in behind Habibulin, and he's telling all the players that in front of Habibulin.
Well, mentioned a couple of relief roles for Habibulin. Here's how the season series has gone between Edmonton and Winnipeg.
Jets have been in trouble in their own building fairly early. They were down 3-0 in that 6-5 game, and then 5-1 after 2 periods on the 25th. Nikolai Habibulin trying to get Shane Corson out of the crease, gives him a little shove, keeps that stick on the ice. He's very good low on the ice, got quick legs and strong on his stick.
Now Slager at the point. Seager feeds it back. Olofsson to Slager. Here's the shot. That went off Wilkinson wide. 22 seconds left in the man advantage. Stapleton. Into the corner. Seager takes a look. Olofsson with the shot. Deflected. Habibulin down. And Seager missing from the side of the net. Slager again across to Olofsson. Putting it in front. Loose puck. Stapleton can't find it. And finally up with it is Randy Gillen out to center as the penalty expires and Shannon returns to the ice. Here's Slager back in. Dropping it back. Seager puts it to the net, and Habibulin again the rebound. But the Jets are able to take control, and Korolev feeds it ahead to Solani. 10 minutes gone, first period. Timo Solani centering it, then Korolev hauled down as the puck comes out to center. Net knocked ajar, and Korolev looking for a penalty that Mark Fawcett is not going to call.
Mike Stapleton back looked like his dad on defense, except Teemu Solani went around him. Mike Stapleton, not usually a defenseman, but a smart defensive player. Out on the power play, realized that Yuri Slager was up ice, so Stapleton gets back. Solani went around Stapleton, and then Korolev's knocked into the net. No penalty called on that one. The net knocked off its moorings. Freddie Brathwaite's back. He's in position, stays on his feet, gets out of the way. Korolev goes crashing into the net. Korolev knows where the cameras are, even our net cam. Smiling for the camera, lying flat in his back.
He wasn't smiling at Mark Fawcett. Depo Numanen ahead to Teemu Solani. There's Korolev clearing it in. And Ken Sutton around the boards. Got Marchand scooting after it, but McCoolchick gets there first. Here's Solani, met by Kennedy. He can't cross the line, and Marchand, with that speed, trying to drive in. He's tied up. Scott Thornton along the boards. Sutton's in deep. That's Ken Sutton in front. Can't get the shot away. And McCoolchick on left wing to Korolev. And Dean Kennedy plays him well. 7-6 the shots now. The Oilers going ahead of the Jets in that category. Maltby dumped as he crosses the line. Takes Shannon into the boards. Now Quintel is down. He went down to get out of the way of Shane Corson. And Quintel seems shaken up. At the line, kept in by Buchberger. Here's Corson now. Watched by Eastwood. Drops it back to Olofsson. The shot going wide. Buchberger giving chase. And now Tkachuk can't clear it out. Corson with Arnott in front. Here's Corson. Buchberger driving for the net. And that was broken up by Shannon. There's a hit by Corson on Nelson Emerson. Gets a rise from the crowd. Quintel feeding it ahead. Mike Eastwood in ahead of the play offside with 8:12 to go in a scoreless first period.
Kellogg's presents Heads Up Hockey with Brett Hull.
Hi, I'm Brett Hull. Today we're going to focus on avoiding confrontation in a hockey game. It ensures that you'll spend more time on the ice and less time in the penalty box.
Hey, I'm one full-size adult, so naturally, I'm big on nutrition. And there's something inside of me that still gets really pumped about frosting. But who's kidding who? This body's a shrine, and we limit the fat and salt in the shrine. I'm lighting up.
Relax. With Kellogg's Mini Wheat Cereal, you can have it both ways. For the adult in you, whole grain wheat, low in fat and no added salt. For the kid in you, lightly frosted, great taste.
Hey, I'm no dumbbell. I know what I like. The frosting.
When you're playing well, your competition will do whatever they can to take you off your game. Stay calm and level-headed. Try to remember that to do your job on the ice, you have to stay on the ice.
Heads Up Hockey, presented by Kellogg's.
Little blood coming out of Stefan Quintel's nose. He saw Shane Corson coming, tries to get out of the way, but falls down. And when he does fall down, Corson's feet and knees hit him right in the head. Had he taken the hit, he probably wouldn't have got hurt at all.
Fourth line getting its first shift for the Oilers, and here's Peter White breaking in, and he lost control at the last moment, and Happy Bullen cleared it away, and a penalty coming up.
Dave Manson's over complaining. Neil Wilkinson's getting the hooking call. Peter White got in behind the defense and took the perfect pass, and Wilkinson was in trouble. He reached from behind on Peter White. The pass is there. Wilkinson on the arm, the left arm, one tug, two tugs. Ooh, not a real good hook, but enough to make sure that Peter White didn't get the shot on goal, and again, the Oilers have a power play.
White, who led the American Hockey League in scoring, has given the Oilers a bit of a boost. In fact, on Tuesday in their last meeting against the Jets, he was the #1 center. Jason Arnott missing the game because of suspension.
Peter White played very well. He's an asthma sufferer. People said he couldn't skate well enough to play in the National Hockey League, but he's proved he could play in every other league, and now he's getting his chance.
So the Oilers with another power play opportunity. Rob Murray on this face-off, the penalty killer for the Jets against Corson, and the Jets win the draw and send the Oilers back. Corson, Oliver, Waite, they're up front. Corson missed the pass, and they'll have to start over. Arnott and Kravchuk are the point men on the Edmonton power play. Here's Kravchuk to the line, handed it to Gillen, and he'll chop it back through center. 30 seconds gone in the man advantage. Oliver can't take the pass, and Shannon now dumps it ahead. Here's Tkachuk going after it. And Arnott and Corson trying to regroup. Shane Corson has points in the last 4 games. In behind the goal, Numanen is chopping at him, and Numanen intercepts the pass. David Oliver, in turn, had it momentarily. Now Numanen along the boards, and Mike Eastwood at center. Eastwood going wide on Kravchuk. Now dropping it back, and Corson played Tkachuk well. 45 seconds left in the man advantage as Waite hits the line. Lost control, and Shannon again sends Edmonton back.
Jets doing a good job standing at the blue line, and right now the Oilers just refuse to shoot it in and ring the boards and go after it. They're all trying to carry it in.
Slager fires it in. Manson turns, and once again, the Oilers have to go back to retrieve it with 20 seconds left in the man advantage.
Shoot it in on the power play. You have to keep it away from the goaltender. That one went right to Nikolai Haberbulin.
Olofsson rolls it into the corner. Manson again. Off the boards. This will be kept in by Olofsson. Teeing it up. No. Now to Slager. Back to Olofsson. Seeger on the right side. And now Slager on the left fires right on. Slager keeps it alive for the Oilers, and now Winnipeg clears it out as the penalty has expired. So the Oilers have not been able to get this power play going in the first period.
Chris, the Western Conference is a logjam for sure. The LA Kings play the Anaheim Mighty Ducks tomorrow, and they've really had trouble with the Ducks. And then they go on the road, play Winnipeg on Tuesday and Chicago on Wednesday to finish their season. They're in trouble. But the Dallas Stars, one more game that's in San Jose. Everybody thought they were in the playoffs and out of it. Well, they're not. They're in big trouble.
They are, and the good news for Edmonton and Winnipeg is that Dallas and San Jose have that game against each other, so one of those two teams will likely lose on Monday night, and it's conceivable that one of these two teams might know their playoff fate. At least the Oilers could know their playoff fate by Monday night. If all the circumstances were right, they'd have to win here tonight and against Toronto and have Dallas lose. Emerson knocked down by Sutton as he skated into the Oilers zone. Pinching in Mikulchik. Now Sutton off the boards. Mikulchik trying to keep it alive for the Jets. And out at center ice, Emerson lost control. Ahead to Tkachuk, too far. And the former Buffalo Sabres, Sutton takes a hit, gets it around to Maltby. He had a big game in the hitting department Thursday against St. Louis, and Maltby's on the move now. Here's Maltby moving in with the shot on the short side. Gets his own rebound. Taken to the boards by Wilkinson. Thornton looks for the loose puck. Solani comes up with it, and here he comes. Ahead to Eastwood. Solani dashing for the net. Eastwood, shot, and Brathwaite stopped it and prevented the puck coming across to Solani. Todd Marchand coming back. Here's Marchand in front. Oh, and a big chance there. And Olsen couldn't put it in. That would have been Olsen's first goal in over a year.
He thought it was, and he had his hands in the air, stick up, just shot it wide.
Hasn't scored since April the 6th of '94. Here's Solani's side of the net. Can't get the backhand away. Paid the price as he was knocked down. Waite starts back with Oliver on right wing. Oliver drifting the shot high. Comes all the way out to center, and Solani starts back. Korolev trying to catch up. Jamnov does, and he's checked. There's the shot by Quintel. And it ends up in the corner, and things starting to open up here with under 4 minutes to play, first period. Jamnov taken down at center. Korolev sends it in. The Jets will make a change as Olczyk comes over the boards. Doug Waite. Kravchuk. Just sent it ahead, and Shannon clears it back into the Oilers zone. Jason Arnott can't control. And now Slager on the move. 3 Oilers through center. Slager with Corson and Arnott. And a shot, Abby Boulin kicked out. Arnott along the boards. Knocks down Chris King. Quintel off the boards, out to Gillen. And here goes Olczyk down right wing. Ed Olczyk with the shot. Wide of the target. Gillen taken to the boards. And Slager up with it. Oilers very high on Yuri Slager's play since joining the team from Vancouver. Arnott at center ice. He's dragged down. And Nelson Emerson speeds back. Here's Emerson. Good burst. The backhand wide. Eastwood hit along the boards by Kennedy. Tkachuk into the corner looking for the loose puck. Quintel keeps it in at the point. And now play called on a high stick with 2:23 left in the first period at the Edmonton Coliseum.
Car and Driver has chosen their 10 best automobiles for 1995. Quite a select group. They all have the kind of safety features you would expect, like dual airbags, anti-lock braking systems, and reinforced body structure. They all have outstanding performance credentials, as you would expect. And they all have the kind of sticker price you would expect of a vehicle in such an elite group. All except one, a 1995 Ford Contour. It's nice to be in such good company, but not all the time.
Once upon a a time, in the land of great Canadian cheeses, where the mighty cheddar burst with flavor.
Wow.
The mild, melted mozzarella flowed. And imagine, it snowed delightful Parmesan. There were gardens of delicious cheeses as far as the eye could see.
It's so good, Mommy.
Of course it is, dear.
Cheese, please.
Coming up in our first intermission, the American Hockey League scoring champion, Peter White. Impressive in the last outing against Winnipeg, and again tonight, drawing the penalty, will join me for a brief comment before we go to the CBC News for Saturday Report.
Well, 2:23 left in scoreless first period at the Edmonton Coliseum. And the shots on goal favor the Oilers, 10-7. Marchant and Eastwood. Sutton pushing with Emerson as the Oilers try to break out. Kennedy pass Tkachuk. Too far for Thornton. Eastwood off the boards ahead to Emerson. Rink wide behind Tkachuk. Kennedy gave it right back to Eastwood, and here comes the former Leaf. Dropping for Emerson. Jam up behind the net, and Kennedy up with it. At center. Dropping it off. Here's the shot by Oliver, and Mikulchik blocking that. Marchant pushing it over on the right wing. Dumped in by Maltby. Mikulchik after it. And now under 90 seconds to go, first period. Solani lost control, but Newman following up. Sending it in, and Solani will give chase. He's held up. Now Solani comes up with it, centers it. There's a shot off the goalpost. Korolev thought that one was in. And Brathwaite got a break there. Under a minute to go, first period. Best chance for the Jets so far as Korolev rung that off the crossbar or the goalpost?
Right at the juncture of the crossbar and post. Teemu Selanne did a good job digging that puck out to Korolev. He's shown way more life here tonight in the first period than he did in the first two periods in the game Tuesday night in Winnipeg.
Wilkinson ahead to Jamnov. Dave Manson sends it in. Brathwaite had a little trouble with that. Offside was the call.
Brathwaite, a little grin on his face after that long shot almost beat him. Dave Manson with a sore hand let that one go from the red line. It was offside. Teemu Selanne does a good job behind the net to get it out for Korolev, and Korolev off the post and crossbar right where they meet. Shot almost a perfect shot, an inch too high off the pipe. Middle of March, 4-1 for the Edmonton Oilers, and they beat good teams. They beat St. Louis, they beat Calgary, they beat Detroit, and then they went on that streak where they were winless in 10, and the demise of George Burnett.
Well, you look at that playoff race, and both of these teams went 10 games winless in March, and boy, if they had been able to stop those streaks up a little sooner, things wouldn't be quite as desperate tonight. 9 seconds of the first period here at the Edmonton Coliseum as the siren goes.
Good solid period for Fred Brathwaite in relief of Bill Ranford. He looked calm, looked cool, looked confident, but the Oilers' power play, they had 3 opportunities, and it did not look very good. You can't squander when you have the man advantage that many times.
Oilers with an edge in shots on goal in the first period. The shots 10-7. But no scoring to report at the end of 20 minutes here at the Edmonton Coliseum.
Special K is low in fat. Regular exercise and a balanced diet, including Kellogg's Special K cereal, can be a delicious way to help you look your best. Looking good never felt so great.
At Home Building Center, we see every home improvement job as a big job. Sir, what does big mean to you?
500 feet of fencing.
Whoa, big plans, man?
Oh, yeah, 10 houses to drywall.
Planning a big entrance?
No, I'm putting in a new door.
Ah, right.
The Homewood Projects Guide is available now at participating dealers with over 40 all-wood do-it-yourself projects from Select Home Design.
If you have big plans, we have friendly advice and a great price.
With Canada's largest group of building supply dealers, you can always plan on home.
Remember what phone calls used to cost? Well, it's back, and it's from Cantel, the company that brought you affordable cellular. Introducing Amigo Time, the new 10-cent a minute leisure rate you get with Amigo. For $19.95 a month, talk all you want after 6 p.m. and the entire weekend. All for just a dime a minute. There's never been a better time. Amigo Time.
Coming up on Country Canada, the gray seals of Sable Island. A novel birth control program may save these seals from hunters' guns.
The particular approach we're taking for birth control is using immunology. It functions to prevent the sperm from attaching to the egg, so she's protected.
That's Sunday on Country Canada.
The year, did you know Freddie Brathwaite and Nikolai Habibulin? Of course you do now. The Winnipeg Jets, Edmonton Oilers embroiled in a scoreless tie at the end of a period of play here at the Edmonton Coliseum. Joining me as advertised, the AHL scoring champion, Peter White. Congratulations, Peter. Tell me about how you achieved that milestone.
Thank you very much. I had a lot of help from my teammates, especially Ralph Fitzgerald, who's over in playing the World Championships right now, and we didn't make the playoffs down there, but I think by me winning the scoring championship, I think a lot of my teammates got a lot of pleasure out of it, and without them, I don't think I would have won it.
Tell us, I want to celebrate you and the great year you had, but tell us a bit about Ralph Fitzgerald. They know him in the Sioux, I know, but...
Ralph's a proven winner, he's scoring everywhere he's gone, and they say he's maybe too small a player, but I don't think so. He's got great speed, and he's great around the net, so I think without him, there's no way I would have won the scoring championship.
And that's super. You had 26 games last year, Peter, and played really well. Now, there's a lot of depth up the middle, but you had to be disappointed to go back, or were you, to go back to Cape Breton this year?
Of course, I was a little disappointed, but look at the three centers they have. Jason Arnott, Doug White, and Todd Marchand are all playing great, and I think in the long run, it's going to help me. I got to go down there and play a lot and play power play and penalty killing, where maybe up here I would not maybe stuck in the fourth line, not play that much. So I think in the long run, it's going to help me.
It's been a strange day for fans here. Marchment and Ranford are a no-go. Give me a sense of the mood in the room and how you were approaching the Jets.
We knew it was going to be a tough game. We've beaten 2 straight games in Winnipeg. So we didn't know about Billy. Billy was the last-minute thing, and I think as you see, Freddie made some big saves for us, and hopefully he'll keep going.
Well, as I say, congratulations. A stupendous season for you, and you deserve that. And I know there's many more good days ahead on this show and in the NHL.
Thank you very much.
There's Peter White of the Edmonton Oilers. His club embroiled in this battle with the Winnipeg Jets for a playoff position and tied at 0. Coming up next to the CBC News Desk for Saturday Report.
As a barley farmer, you always have your fair share of weeds, but never enough time. Because you not only have to treat for broadleaf weeds, but grassy weeds too. But with new Champion Plus, there's no measuring. And because it's a one-pass herbicide, you get both broadleaf and grassy weeds at the same time, leaving more time for you. Give your barley the once-over with Champion Plus.
If you want to play on the world's finest lawns, use Fedex. Unlike granular fertilizers, Fedex goes on evenly and quickly. Fedex is the simple way to fertilize and eliminate weeds with no burns or streaks.
Fedex from Green Cross, first aid for lawns and gardens.
Imagine this beautiful sofa and chair in your living room. You can get it right now at Rent-All Supercenter, Manitoba's largest rent-to-own. No one is refused at Rent-All. Come and see our beautiful showroom. We'll even pick you up. If you're from out of town, call for your free colored catalog filled with top brand names. Enjoy same-day service, too. Remember, no one is refused. The sky's the limit at Red All Supercenter, 427 McPhillips Street, Winnipeg.
Everyone's cheering about Second Encore Music Store's big new location at 1324 Portage Avenue. Now there's more of all the things you love about Second Encore Music. More pre-owned CDs at just $9.99. More pre-owned cassettes at only $4.99. More quality pre-owned instruments, including school band instruments. At Second Encore, we also buy, sell, trade, and sell on consignment. And don't forget about our Signs of Recovery 12-step section. Second Encore Music Store, now open at 1324 Portage.
From headlights to transmission fluid to tires, inside, outside, top to bottom, Canadian Tire has you covered. Because we have the experience that comes from servicing over 10,000 cars every day and more than 65,000 auto parts and products, which means we help maintain more cars than anyone. So whatever you need, come to the one place with everything, Canadian Tire. There's a lot more for your car for a lot less.
Springtime, Sarajevo. A love affair doomed by civil war.
They died in each other's arms.
Romeo and Juliet in Sarajevo, Tuesday night at 8 on Witness. Saturday Report with Paul Hunter.
Good evening. Here's a brief look at tonight's news. A standoff between police and a gunman in a small town near Quebec City ended with a tragic discovery today. When police entered the house, they found both the gunman and the daughter he'd been holding hostage dead. The town's police chief was shot to death yesterday trying to end the standoff. Mark Kelly has this report.
For the last day and a half, police were clinging to the hope that Clément Mercier and his daughter Cindy were still alive. But by midday, all hope was lost. Police entered the house to find the girl lying in a pool of blood. She'd been shot twice. In another room, they found the body of her father. He'd hanged himself. Police now say there was no way they could have saved the little girl.
We talked for a long time that she was alive. We were hoping that way, but now we know we were mistaken on this side. Anyway, she died at the beginning of the operation when she was shot by his father.
Early yesterday morning, Mercier's common-law wife, Céline Fauché, pleaded with him to let the girl go. Mercier refused, so Fauché went for help. That's when police believe Mercier killed the little girl. That's when Police Chief Denis Nadeau showed up unarmed to settle what he thought was a routine family dispute. But Mercier shot him twice with a 12 caliber shotgun, the same gun he used to kill his daughter. Then Mercier barricaded himself in his house. This afternoon, residents of this close-knit community came to see the house and share their grief. But the town's grieving isn't over yet. Next week, they'll bury their police chief, Mercier, and his daughter. Mark Kelly, CBC News, St. Marie de Beauce.
The federal Progressive Conservatives have made it official. Delegates to the party's national convention have confirmed Jean Charest as leader. Charest faced virtually no opposition in a leadership review vote tonight, and he wasted little time in trying to get the Tories back into the political spotlight.
And write this day down in the history books. This is the beginning of the return of the Progressive Conservative Party to serve this country.
The federal Conservatives were decimated in the last election. They now hold just 2 seats in Parliament. A big protest in Spain today against Canada's fishing deal with the European Union. About 10,000 people came from across the northern Spanish region of Galicia to denounce the agreement. They say it will lead to big job losses and seriously hurt the region's economy. The FBI is beginning to reconstruct the truck used in the Oklahoma City bombing. Workers searching the remains of the federal building have been finding pieces of the truck ranging from small fragments to large sections of the frame. They've also found parts of the bomb itself. Meanwhile, investigators are focusing on the town where bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh lived. They are trying to trace his movements in the days leading up to the blast. Winnipeg didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman today. He was under police protection during meetings aimed at stopping the NHL Jets from taking flight to another city. More now from the CBC's Glenn Kirby.
The man Winnipeg hockey fans love to hate.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman in town to hear the deal that would keep the Jets in Winnipeg. Bettman shuttled in and out of private meetings for the current owners and the Winnipeg group with a $200 million plan to buy the team and build a new arena. All the while, police stood by, fearing a repeat of yesterday, when angry fans marched on the legislature, blaming Bettman for placing expensive conditions on a potential agreement to keep the Jets in Winnipeg. Bettman says the conditions have always been on the table, and he repeated his fear the deal is underfunded.
The last thing you want is a situation where a building is built and then the team leaves. That's worse than the team leaving in the first instance.
Today, Premier Gary Filmon said more taxpayers' money may be used to sweeten the offer from local buyers.
It's something we're prepared to consider.
The local group's option to purchase the Jets expires Monday. There's plenty of interest from American cities in acquiring the team, but owner Barry Shankaro says he's had no firm offers yet.
I don't have any communications and offers. We're going to see what happens in Winnipeg, and after that we will deal with the second stage.
When Shankaro does reach that stage, he'll sell the team to the highest bidder, and the Jets will leave the city. Glenn Kirby, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And that is Saturday Report. For CBC News, I'm Paul Hunter. Now back to hockey night in Canada.
Thanks, Paul, very much. Obviously, lots of concern around the room in the Winnipeg dressing room. Nonetheless, in the more important battle for them in immediate terms, they're in a scoreless battle with the Edmonton Oilers at the end of 20 minutes of play. Around the NHL, Dallas Stars lose that important game this afternoon. Detroit's got Chicago at home. Tomorrow, the Wings, Scotty Bowman will know, have clinched home ice even in the Stanley Cup final. The Sens win their third in a row, beating the New York Islanders. They tangle for the second Saturday in as many. We want to show you some highlights of Quebec and Tampa Bay. Here's Wendell Clark in behind the net, feeding to Andrei Kovalenko, and he beats J.C. Bergeron there. That made it 2-0 for the Nordiques at that stage in the second period. Then Mike Ricci on the power play. Well, watch the goalie, Mike. Oh, too late. But nonetheless, big goal for Mike, his 15th of the year, and that paced Quebec to their 4-1 victory against the Tampa Lightning. They regain first in the East. The Pens a game in hand. Montreal can't catch Buffalo, but they can catch the New York Rangers. They trail the Rangers, each team with 2 games remaining. The Habs have Boston and Buffalo. The Rangers have Philadelphia and Florida. There's the tie at the Saddledome, moving Toronto into 4th place. And as mentioned, it's a 0-0 tie between the Jets and the Edmonton Oilers here at the Coliseum. Coming up next, the second period on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
It's a crisis. We have a contract to replace thousands of defective doors. The Dominion Door Company's reputation is at stake.
We promise to deliver our doors to every good merchant from here to the Pacific.
What are we going to do?
Fastest flight.
I beg your pardon?
Fastest flight is economical and reliable. They have their own personnel providing door-to-door service.
Expedited service.
Good show.
And Fastest Flight delivers on time or free. It's guaranteed.
It's big, and it's coming for you. Taco Bell's delicious 7-layer burrito. This monster of all burritos will satisfy any big appetite. Seasoned rice, guacamole, 2 cheeses, beans, sour cream, lettuce, and tomatoes, all wrapped in a soft flour tortilla. And it's not alone. It has friends. The savory chicken or zesty beef 7-layer burrito for limited time only at Taco Bell.
Here's an important price announcement for wheat farmers. Agrivo has just reduced the prices of 2 of the leading wheat herbicides, Puma and Triumph Plus, by $2 per acre. Now that the price is falling, there's even more value in using Puma and Triumph Plus to protect your wheat. Because when you multiply $2 by your total wheat acres, you're talking about a significant accumulation. Puma and Triumph Plus. New lower price, now greater value.
Did I say how thrilled I was with our new deck?
Many times.
I mean, the quality, the craftsmanship. It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
So, Robert, is there something you want to say to me?
You built a great deck.
Thank you. And you make a pretty great salad.
The finest in pressure-treated wood products. Sunpine, the wood preservation people. Sunpine fencing and decking, available at these fine stores and other participating dealers.
We bought the Ford Windstar for its space and comfort, especially space. We have 5 girls. I drive them to their music lessons, swimming, skating, hockey. It holds all of their things. They really like the WinStar.
I hope we can raise them up to be responsible and giving, good adults.
This portion of Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC has been brought to you by Ford Motor Company of Canada Limited.
Welcome back to the Edmonton Coliseum. Just about set for the second period of tonight's game between the Edmonton Oilers and Winnipeg Jets. Fred Brathwaite, an emergency replacement tonight for Bill Ranford, who went down this afternoon with back spasms, and Brathwaite looked good in period number 1.
He looked very good, and especially the save on Alexei Zhamnov, the best Winnipeg Jet. Clear-cut breakaway, and Brathwaite outguessed him.
So to start the second period, Jason Arnott along with Shane Corson and Kelly Buchberger up front. Against Tkachuk, Emerson, and Eastwood for the Jets. Here's Arnott centering it in front. Buchberger was cruising there, but the puck knocked away from him down the ice. Sutton back to get it, icing the call against the Jets.
Winnipeg Jets, Alexei Zhamnov with 5:50, almost 6 minutes, and Keith Tkachuk with the same. The key guys for the Winnipeg Jets have to play well: Zhamnov, Tkachuk, and Solani. And their ice times, because of the penalty situation, the 6 minutes of power plays, they don't kill penalties for the Jets on a regular basis. Their ice time down. Shane Corson, because of the power plays for the Oilers, those 3 power plays, his is up. Jason Arnott plays the point on the power play sometimes. His 5:12. Teemu Solani played a very indifferent game on Tuesday night against the Oilers, and there's lots of phone-in calls after the game about Teemu, and will he be gone next year? And whether the Winnipeg Jets, if they stay in Winnipeg, can they afford Tkachuk, Zhamnov, and Solani, all 3 of them?
All 3 20-goal scorers. Only 2 other teams can boast 3 20-goal scorers, and they're both in the state of Pennsylvania. Penguins and the Flyers. Here's Korolev off the bench with a chance. Puts it in front. Zhamnov couldn't pull the trigger. And Oliver sends Seager ahead. Zdeno Seager to the line, and it's offside against the Oilers.
Zdeno Seager, the MVP of the B-Pool World Championships this year, as Slovakia and Peter Stassen and Zdeno Seager played together, and Slovakia won that tournament. And Zdeno Seager got off the plane in Edmonton, went to Winnipeg, and played a very strong game in his first game in Winnipeg. Had a couple of assists and playing with a lot more confidence than he has since he's come here to the Edmonton Oilers. Playing more often, playing with more talent, and playing with more confidence.
Played all 84 games last year for the Oilers with 22 goals. And 3 points in his first 2 games back. Solani was cruising on the wing, but Olofsson cut off the pass. As Solani is playing with Zhamnov and Korolev. Wilkinson feeds it ahead, and there is Solani. Crossing the line, Korolev moving in, and Brathwaite kicked it out. Solani gets the rebound to Zhamnov. And now Richardson turning back. Looks like Korolev's hurt. Left the glove in the corner and slowly makes his way to the bench. Here's Olofsson making a move in. Doug Waite behind the net. He's hit, and Manson sends it up the boards for Solani. Ahead it goes to Randy Gillen. Fakes the shot. Gets around Maltby. Maltby takes him to the boards heavily. Now a pass to Olczyk, and Brathwaite gets a pad down on that. Newman firing it back in as we approach the 2-minute mark of period number 2. Still no score at the Edmonton Coliseum. Big Luke Richardson behind the net. Mikulchuk steps up. Here's Mikulchuk putting it out in front. And now the Oilers start back, led by Scott Thornton. Marchand is on his right side. And a nice check there by Chris King. Kravchuk to Maltby. Marchand missed the pass. And
Eastwood slowly back in his own zone, ahead to Newman. Tkachuk moving on the right side. Here's Keith Tkachuk, shot right on. Rebound, Newman goes to the backhand. So the Jets are testing Fred Brathwaite here in the second. Newman again. Off the skate of Tkachuk to the boards. And the Jets appear to have a little more jump so far in the second period. Kravchuk to the line. Here's the chance. Slager's shot. Nice save by Khabibulin. And the Jets clear it the length of the ice. Kravchuk back to get it. And icing is the call. The shots now are even at 11 apiece.
To by Phil Walker, cut just above the eye. David Oliver's coming back, tries to hit the stick, but catches Korolev just above the eye as he comes down. And Fred Brathwaite with another good save. A good little stand-up goaltender, plays a lot like Mike Vernon. Came across, square to the play, made the save look easy.
Corson to take this face-off against Gillen in the Winnipeg zone. And the veteran Randy Gillen wins the face-off. Quintel around the boards. It gets by Buchberger and Jamnov out to center. Sutton fires it right back in. Quintel almost handed it to Corson, but it's Brent Thompson with his first shift out on a line with Jamnov and Solani. Teemu Solani up with it. Here's Shannon. His shot bouncing into the corner. Arnott up the boards for Buchberger. Can't get it by his man. Kept in momentarily, and now Arnott. At center ice, hands it off to Buchberger. And now Corson. Shane Corson trying to center it. And Solani will take over. Up for Brent Thompson off his stick. And Brathwaite sweeps it around the boards. Past Corson, it'll go down the ice. As Manson touches it, icing the call. Let's join Ron McLean.
Thanks, Chris. With Glenn Sather. Glenn, how about some thoughts on the game so far? Well, it seems like both teams are pretty uptight right now. I don't think anyone's very relaxed. There's guys that got offside and missed passes, but it's a little more wide open than I expected. I thought that it'd be tight, but I didn't think anybody would be really nervous. It seems like both teams are a little nervous. I would think that almost is helpful to your team, though. Winnipeg seems to like with Jamnov and so on to get it going, tempo game up front. Do you prefer this?
Well, the last two games we played him, it's been real high tempo, and we've beaten him in Winnipeg. But tonight they're playing a little more controlled game, so I hope that we can stick with them and get a victory out of this game. We need it. Well, of course, everybody needs it now, but it's going to be tough. It's a tough playoff race. It's a great race for every team almost in the league.
We'll allow the fellas in the booth to play here, and then I want to ask you about Marchment and Ranford. Chris?
Okay, here comes Waite. And he takes the shot high. Oliver. Waite taken to the board. Seeger looking for it. Newmanen up to Chris King, and now Randy Gillen. Steps over center, clearing it in. Approaching the 5-minute mark of the second period. Seeger misfired as he tried to clear it around the boards. Olczyk without a stick. Now Gillen pinned against the boards. That puck takes a funny hop in front, and Luke Richardson will lead the Oilers back. Waite to the line on a 9-game point streak. And Newmanen with the penalty coming up against Edmonton. Khabibulin is out of the net, and Mike Eastwood has the puck. Here's Eastwood. Taken to the boards. Centers it, and Marchand touching it. Here comes the penalty call. And while they straighten that out, let's rejoin Ron and Glenn.
Okay, Chris, well, we talked about officiating in the first period, and let's discuss Brian Marchment. When did you learn of this, and what are your impressions?
Well, I heard from Brian Burke, this morning around 11:45, and it went on for 2 or 3 hours. But, once somebody sends a tape in, the league is obligated to look at it, and Keenan sent the tape in for some mystical reason. But I don't think there's any question that Brian did it, but he was in a situation where there was a scrum around the bench. There was a lot of things going on, and you could call that on half a dozen guys some games. But it happened. He called, and we're going to live with it.
What was the one you didn't send in this year? I recall there was big press about you refusing to send the tape in. That's just always been your idea on that, isn't it?
I find it's like tattling on somebody when you do something like that. And Marchment had 3 teeth knocked out in the game against Vancouver, and I just refused to send the tape in because, we play tough. Marchment gives it to guys, and if you're going to play like that, you get it back once in a while. But settle it with yourself.
Well, bad timing on that. I don't know how much you're able to analyze that, but if you wish to, a power play goal on a penalty to Maltby.
Well, Selaney scored a good pass out from the corner, but our defenseman went at Selaney and left the guy in the slot wide open. It was a good shot. You can't blame the goaltender on that. It was just poor coverage in front.
And while we're looking at this, Freddie Brathwaite's done a nice job for you tonight, but how severe is Bill Ranford's back situation, or do you know?
Well, Billy woke up after his pregame nap about 3:30 today and had back spasms. He could hardly move, and our doctor's looking at him now. I don't know how serious it's going to be. It could be, 2 days or 2 weeks. Back's a difficult thing to analyze, and I hope he's going to be fine.
Appreciate all your time, Glenn. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And Chris, there weren't enough goals that I had to take the one from you. You could have called this evening, but I'll send it back to you.
That's all right. Glenn's used to analyzing.
He's done the color here.
Well, Selaney gets the goal. Zhamnov and Tkachuk the assists. It's a power play marker, and Teemu Selaney has 5 against the Oilers this year. 21 on the year, and the Jets breaking the ice here. Emerson taking a shot through traffic wide. Kintel at the other side. Eastwood behind the net, trying to center it. Comes to Corson, and now Buchberger. Jason Arnott on the move as Buchberger carries it in. Can't get the shot away against Shannon. Buchberger after it. Behind the net. Arnott to Corson. Directing it towards Habibulin, who pounces on the loose puck. Well, let's get another analyst view of the Teemu Selaney goal.
Teemu Selaney's in the danger zone, and when you're killing penalties, you watch the guys in the danger zone first, leave everybody on the periphery. Selaney's on his forehand. He's in a danger zone. You have to stay with him. You can't go to the guy in the corner. The Oilers go to the guy in the corner. Kravchuk goes to the guy in the corner, and then Selaney's wide open to let it go. Yuri Slager's in the way. Puck goes by him and by Fred Brathwaite.
Jets looking for their first win of the season against the Oilers, and they have the 1-0 lead. Jets trying to avoid missing the playoffs 2 years in a row for the first time. There's Buchberger, a shot, and Habibulin with a great glove save.
Great glove save. That's the first one he's caught all night. I was wondering whether his glove was sewn together right from the face-off. And this time he gets that glove open and facing the shooter. Jason Arnott, one of the few times he's beaten Randy Gillen. Buchberger jumps in and snaps it, and Habibulin takes it off the cheater on the glove, able to hang on, and another face-up.
Mentioned at the first period, Buchberger getting a lot of scoring chances since he's been moved to the big line with Arnott and Corson. Chris King speeding through center. One of the big reasons that Ron Lowe made that line adjustment was to get Buchberger to deflect some of the attention that Arnott gets in the physical department. Here's Buchberger after it again. Knocked down on the play, and King will start back. Ahead to Manson. Long shoot in. Rebound. Olczyk almost up with it, but Dean Kennedy controls. Rink wide. Corson scooting down left wing. Habibulin out of the net as Corson chopped at it. Wilkinson up to Gillen. Off off the boards and into the Oilers zone. 12 minutes, 45 seconds left, second period. It's 1-0 Winnipeg on a power play goal by Teemu Selanne. Here's Jamna. Doug Waite takes him off the puck. Olsen to Maltby. Maltby trying to move in on Manson. They exchange pushes. And Korolev feeds it ahead. Here's Jamnov. And Korolev following up. And Jamnov is offside on the play. Shots are even, but the Jets have the lead.
The Nissan Quest has the sure handling of a luxury automobile, but it also has the interior space to seat 7 comfortably. Or 2 very comfortably. So much land. So few roads. Was Canada made for the Pathfinder? Or vice versa? Nissan, built for the human race.
If you want to play on the world's finest lawn, use Fedex. Unlike granular fertilizers, Fedex goes unevenly and quickly. Fedex is the simple way to fertilize and eliminate weeds with no burns or streaks.
Fedex from Green Cross. First aid for lawns and gardens.
Well, we're back in Edmonton, and we will be back on the air Wednesday night. But as yet, a game not yet determined. We will be where a Canadian team's playoff status is still to be determined. So join us Wednesday night and check your local listings for the game or games, which will wrap up the regular season in this abbreviated year. Maltby puts it in front of the net. Here's a shot by Seeger wide of the net. Wade on the far side spins, and his shot broken up by Wilkinson. Around the boards and out to center past Olsen. Brent Thompson giving chase, and Maltby back to pick it up. Jet knocked into the net. That's Craig Martin, who is jostling with Richardson as Waite comes to the line. Can't get by Shannon.
Craig Martin on his first shift of the night, he had a good scoring chance earlier and noted for his toughness, and he's out there with a couple of other tough guys. Brent Thompson and his other winger.
Here's Waite. Abby Bullen out of the net. Gets it by Oliver. And the Jets clear out to center. Kravchuk. Jamnov in pursuit. Here's a great pass. Marchand, the backhand rebound. And Happy Bullen with 2 saves of Todd Marchand. That's the Oilers' best chance of this second period. Jets up with it. And it's Shannon working his way to center ice. Rolling it in and heading to the bench. Kravchuk turning back. Eastwood, Selanne, and Tkachuk are out now for Winnipeg. On the right wing, here's Oliver. Broken up by Numanen. Slager at the point. His shot blocked by Tkachuk, and out breaks Selanne. Teemu Selanne with Tkachuk and Numanen. The shot. Brathwaite takes it high on the shoulder. Rebound comes down. And Scott Thornton spun around. McCulloch with the shot wide. Selanne was left standing unattended at the side of the net. McCulloch paired with Numanen. The leading minus man on the Jets. Numanen feeding it ahead to Eastwood. Eastwood around Slager. Slager takes him to the boards. Buchberger helping out, and he sprawls to get a whistle. And a face-off, and we've got a penalty being assessed by Mark Fawcett.
Mike Eastwood for roughing after the whistle, an undisciplined penalty. Maltby got one, the Jets scored, now Eastwood gets an undisciplined one, and the Oilers are on the power play.
And now Ron McLean standing by with the Jets GM.
Right, Chris, John, timing's everything with Glenn Sather when Maltby's in the box, and now I'm with you, John Paddock, with your man in the box. How about some thoughts on the game so far?
Well, it's been a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit slower tempo than I'd imagine, a little bit less physical, but that's probably due to the
importance for both hockey teams. It's cautious, and everybody's very conscious of not making a mistake.
I said to Grapes before the game, when you find out Ranford and Marchment are out, it might be such a sigh of relief that you don't come out as you should. What was your fear or feeling when you heard that news?
No, well, that's a possibility, but nothing against Freddie Brathwaite, but I'm very happy to see Bill Ranford not there. And Marchment's a dangerous player, you know, and you always have to be aware of him on the ice, and he might make some mistakes, but you have to be very aware of him in the mid-ice.
We know that May 1st may be flexible. We really don't know where we stand with respect to the team, but what, if any, impact has that had in the room in this playoff race?
I don't think a lot. It had a little bit maybe the other night as an upbeat thing, and I'm a little bit concerned going into this game, but it seems to have been all right.
Well, good luck, John.
Thank you, Ron.
I know Terry Simpson was concerned that maybe 48 hours after the news had broken in Winnipeg, the players with more time to digest the bad news in Winnipeg might be a little flattered tonight, but so far not the case. The Oilers on the power play. Kravchuk feeding in low. Seeger in front. Wait, drop, rebound. And the Jets up with it. That's a big stop by Habibulin.
Nikolai Habibulin has very quick legs. He made 2 good saves on Todd Marchant right along the ice, and that shot by Doug Waite right along the ice. Habibulin with that quick left leg to make the save.
And Waite with 20 power play points so far this season to lead the Oilers. Has it now in the corner. Waite to Seeger. Back to Waite. Corson's in front. Now Seeger takes over side of the net. Puts it in front. Kravchuk beats Emerson to it in the corner. Shannon off the glove of Arnott, and here's a 2-on-1. And Emerson was slowed up, waiting for the puck to come down. Now he takes off. Backhand. And Brathwaite with the stop, and Kravchuk in behind was able to bat it away. The Oilers have given up 8 shorthanded goals this year, almost a night. Murray around the boards. 33 seconds left in the man advantage. Oilers already 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. Seeger's in front. Here's a chance for Waite. He puts it in front, but it's cleared by Gillen.
Again, Nikolai Habibulin very strong along the ice. Doug Waite tried to wrap around, tried it right along the ice. Habibulin there to make the save.
8 seconds left as Olesen hits the line. Lost control. Wilkinson fanned on his clear-out attempt. Jets back at full strength. Korolev cross ice. And onside is Zhamnov. No, he's not. Zhamnov called as he was tripped up offside. The Jets killed the penalty.
Pyramids have been built in honor of 3 kings, 7 pharaohs, and 1 four-door. It's the car that set a new standard for reliability and satisfaction. The car 100% of its owners said they'd gladly buy again. The Maxima from Nissan. CAA Pyramid Award winner for 1995.
So what do you think?
Well, I think you actually need a trim.
No, I mean the cereal.
Oh, it's not very attractive. It's a good color job, but its style is nowhere. You want me to try it?
Yeah.
I take it back. It's good, and it's crisp. You know, sometimes they add so much stuff you don't know what you're eating. But this is just...
Kellogg's cornflakes.
Ha, no.
Yep.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
Well, then this is the truth. You should know.
Kellogg's cornflakes. Taste them again for the first time.
Closed captioning for tonight's game is provided by Imperial Oil.
The Oilers have played very well against the Jets. They played a very aggressive style against the Jets, something we haven't seen that much of here tonight. Glenn Sather was talking about it. He thought it would be a more physical game, and it hasn't been. The Oilers have not out-hit the Jets like they have in their past few meetings.
And that was one of the keys to victory Thursday night against St. Louis. A lot of talk about the Oilers' physical play in that game against the Blues. One of the most robust performances of the year for Edmonton. Here's Thornton trying to center it. Habibulin down. And Randy Gillen up with it, flipping it high in the air. They Nice little wedge into the Oilers zone. Won't cross the line. Sutton has to play it to Dean Kennedy. Lone goal in the game was a power play marker by Solani. The big three all involved. Solani from Tkachuk and Jamnov. Here's Thornton crashing, centering it. Sutton scores!
The physical play. Scott Thornton strips Teppo Newman under the puck. Sutton sneaks in and blows it by Nikolai Habibulin. Sutton lets it go high. And on Habibulin, he's on his way down. He covers the bottom of the net. And Sutton lets it go up and over that catching hand.
Well, he was born in Edmonton but raised in Calgary, and he mentioned this morning how much he hated the Oilers when he was a Calgary kid, but now a big goal for the Oilers to get back on even terms. Thornton and Marchand get assists on the goal at 12:49.
The big play by Thornton, the hit on Teppo Newman and stripped Newman under the puck, threw it out. Sutton right there to bury it.
Well, we were talking about the Oilers' physical play, and that's one of their best assets, speed and their strength. There's a big hit by Arnott, but the Jets have possession. Emerson trying to center it. Nelson Emerson puts it in front. Olofsson is there, and the Oilers start back. Arnott with Buchberger cruising on right wing, broken up by Shannon. Olofsson ahead, hopped over the stick of Arnott. He's jostling with Quintel, and icing the call.
Daryl Shannon talking things over as he picked off that pass. Corson goes in to talk to Quintel. Ken Sutton just ripped that puck past Nikolai Habibulin. The Buffalo Sabres did not have Doug Bodger tonight, but Bodger is the one who plays like Sutton. Good offensive player. Thornton strips Newman and right out in front to Sutton, and he beats Habibulin. Bob McCammon, the assistant GM, and now a very helpful co-coach, or not co-coach, I guess assistant coach with Ron Lowe, went to see Ken Sutton just before the trading deadline, and they were playing against Boston, and Buffalo always plays well against Boston. Sutton had a strong game, and McCammon said, if we have a chance, let's get him, and they did.
Well, the man that set up the goal, Scott Thornton, to take this draw against Randy Gillen. Sutton said the big difference from Buffalo was there he wasn't sure if he was going to play from game to game, but here he's been not only a regular, but playing in key situations for the Oilers. Killing penalties on late in the game and delivering a little offense, and that's what the Oilers also got out of those trades. Slager, who has the puck now, and Sutton both provide that threat offensively from the points. Kravchuk, the leading scorer among Oiler defensemen, sending it in. There's Marchand in the corner. Oilers seem to have gotten a real boost from that goal by Ken Sutton. Now Shannon, starting back for Winnipeg, just dumps it in and heads to the bench. After it, Olczyk behind the net centered it, chopped away by Thornton, and now Marchand turning back for Edmonton. The speedy center iceman flipping it through, cut off by Newman. As Marchand was looking for Oliver. Olczyk back with Chris King, stopped by Slager. Now Oliver ahead to Yuri Slager. Sends it into an open corner as the Oilers will make a change with 5:35 to go. Second period, we're tied at 1 at the Edmonton Coliseum. Maltby backhanding it in, and Seeger giving chase against McCulloch. Seeger tried to center it, but Newman was there. A hit to Rob Murray, who took a hit at center ice from Kennedy. There's Sutton. Off the boards. McCulloch for Winnipeg, hit Fawcett. And now it's flipped back in by the Jets. Kept in at the point. That goes wide of the net. And Maltby. And they're starting to hit a little bit harder here. Wait. Seeger offside, and you can feel the intensity. The last few shifts is really starting to pick up. 1-1 the score with 4:50 remaining here in the second period.
There's more to broadleaf herbicides than crop safety and wild buckwheat control. That's why there's Refine Extra. Refine Extra's palm-sized container is easy to handle, and it controls the toughest broadleaf weeds in wheat and barley, including wild buckwheat and top growth control of Canada thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-'em-dead performance nothing can match.
Remember what phone calls used to cost? Well, it's back, and it's from Cantel, the company that brought you affordable cellular. Introducing Amigo Time, the new 10-cent a minute leisure rate you get with Amigo. For $19.95 a month, talk all you want after 6 p.m. and the entire weekend. All for just a dime a minute. There's never been a better time. Amigo Time.
The clear backup goaltender in Edmonton behind Bill Ranford, but who says that Habibulin's the backup behind Tim Chevelday? Nobody in Winnipeg has. Habibulin's played very well and played quite often for the Jets this year.
Just about an even split in appearances in the Winnipeg Jets net between Habibulin and Chevelday.
I think the tendency is to get away from that, and the teams that do well have one clear number one guy and a backup who can fill in.
At the point, Olesen, there's a glove stop by Habibulin. Well, Terry Simpson says in a 48-game season, you don't have time to wait for somebody to get hot. You got to go with, I guess, the guy that's delivered the goods in recent games, and Habibulin certainly earned the start tonight with his performance against the Red Wings on Thursday.
He's played well, and the problem with Habibulin, like Jim Chevelday, is neither coach has played them in a string long enough to let them get their confidence. They play one bad game. Maybe it's a short season. I don't know. They play one bad game, then they don't play again. They don't see the ice for another week. Habibulin this time standing up well, waits for the shot, then gets the handout on Sutton's shot. He was on the way down and beaten high.
Waite and Gillen on this face-off. Jets win the draw. Manson ahead at center. Richardson knocked down Jamnov. And it's Waite and Maltby across the line. Here's Kirk Maltby dropping it off, but Waite was knocked down on the play. And the Jets start back. Korolev with Jamnov and Solani. Korolev takes the pass, fires, scores! Igor Korolev restores the Jets' one-goal lead.
Jamnov and Solani can do that. They back in the defense, and Korolev takes the feed. The defensemen are back in, and we can hear the clink up here. That shot by Korolev off the post and in behind Fred Brathwaite. A perfect shot. It's a 3-on-2, Solani and Jamnov and Korolev. They back the defense in. Korolev cuts in behind, tees it up off the crossbar and behind Fred Brathwaite. The defense is deep. They're at the hash mark. Richardson goes down, misses it, and Brathwaite's got no chance.
And what a plus Igor Korolev has been for the Jets this year. He had 10 goals in 2 years with the St. Louis Blues. That's his 8th goal and 30th point of this shortened season with Winnipeg. Korolev from Jamnov, who has 2 assists, and Wilkinson. 2-1 Winnipeg. Here come the Oilers. And Habibulin stops Arnott on that wraparound attempt. 15:53, the time of the go-ahead Winnipeg goal. Kachuk behind the net. Slager has him tied up. Emerson picks up the loose puck. Nice move. Emerson shot wide. Kept in by Shannon. Arnott without the helmet. Off the boards. Puckberger puts it high into the center ice zone. 3:20 to go, second period. Winnipeg leading 2-1, and that puck covered 2 lines offside.
3 goals scored here in the second period. None in the first, as these teams give up the most goals against in the second period. As the Oilers and Jets, they play more cautiously in the first period, then the other teams come on in the second period. Fred Brathwaite sees Luke Richardson go down to try and block it, and the shot goes right by him. And the defenseman goes down. down, you try and take the high one. That went right beside Luke Richardson, off the crossbar, and beat Fred Brathwaite. Not much chance. You talked about Korolev from St. Louis. Jets management asked the guys that came from St. Louis, like Nelson Emerson, what he was like, and they were all raving so much about him, they went out and got him.
Of course, it doesn't hurt to be on the ice with Jamnov.
Jamnov and Solani on that trip.
And Jamnov now with 62 points on the year. Came into the game, Jamnov, on pace for a 112-point season if it was 84 games. Here's Marchand, has to wait for Thornton to get onside. Turns it back to Kennedy. Kennedy lost the puck, and Jamnov was there. Kennedy wisely grabbed Jamnov, and play whistle down. 2:38 to go, second period.
Thinking about trophies in the National Hockey League, would Alexei Jamnov be a Hart Trophy candidate? Played very well, very consistently for the Winnipeg Jets this year, and that was the big thing in his game, was his consistency. Dean Kennedy looks up, loses the puck. Jamnov's right there. And Jamnov has played very well on the road this year, and that was one of the knocks against him, is that he had the home and away skates.
Well, when you talk about MVPs, of course, Lindros comes immediately to mind. Most of the country saw Theo Fleury in the first game today. Paul Coffey's had a great year in Detroit. Jaromir Jagr in Pittsburgh.
How about Mike Vernon? Has he not played enough? Or you would never pick a goaltender as an MVP.
I knew you would. Here's Corson. Shane Corson can't get by Quintal. Chris King starts back. Long shoot in. Olczyk there, and Olczyk hits the post. Bookberger starting Arnott back. Jason Arnott to the line, can't get by Shannon. Daryl Shannon's had a strong season for the Jets on the blue line. Here's Bookberger trying to put it in front. Quintal's crawling to block the pass. Oilers can't keep it in, and Richardson back out to center across for Olesen. Bookberger backhanding it in, Corson after it, and Quintal in control. 1:35 left, second period. 2-1 Winnipeg, the go-ahead goal by Korolev. Kravchuk ahead, missing weight. Mikulchik, Tkachuk, and Eastwood. Here's Mike Eastwood in, and that one off the skate of Slager. Eastwood continues the pursuit. And the puck bounces to Kravchuk. Sending away Seeger. Waite is following up. Can't control the drop pass. Seeger drops it again. Maltby trying to set it up. Here's Slager. Waite in front. Hit for Seeger. And what a stop by Happy Bullen. Seeger had half a net, and Happy Bullen closed it up. Under a minute to go. The Jets send it down the ice, and icing is the call against Winnipeg as the Oilers come so close to tying it.
Nikolai Habibulin with a quick lateral movement, and Zdeno Seeger had to control this pass. The puck is rolling when it comes to Seeger on his stick. It's rolling, he's got to stop it first, and that gives Habibulin that split second, and that's all he needed to come across and make the save. Nice touch pass by Doug Waite to Seeger. Seeger's got room, but he has to stop it. Stops it, then lets it go, and Habibulin gets over, leg and glove, makes the save.
Well, coming up in our second intermission, we'll have our Chevy Truck second intermission update. Ron McLean will take you through all that has happened so far tonight. Canadians held to a tie against Buffalo, so their playoff chances shrink a little bit more. That's coming up. Half minute of action away. Dean Kennedy knocks down or sprawled there on the puck with Korolev over top, and that draws a crowd.
Not going to draw much of a crowd with that line on. Solani, Jamnov, and Korolev against Dean Kennedy. season. Dallas Stars in big trouble, play in San Jose. The Oilers with this game tonight. Toronto here on Monday, and then Calgary on Wednesday. The LA Kings in trouble. 2 games on the road, Tuesday and Wednesday. And the Winnipeg Jets, after this game, moved to Chicago, where they played very well against Chicago all year long, and then have LA at home on Tuesday night.
Solani on this face-off, kicked it back. Quintel. Time winding down in the period. Jets looking for one more chance. It's cleared out to center. Hookberger lost control. Solani to Quintel, and the Jets will try not to make a mistake as the second period comes to an end. All 3 goals in the game scored in that middle frame, and Habby Boolin, a big story. Score after 40 minutes. Winnipeg 2, Edmonton 1.
Men in speed stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of bigger. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. Bye.
In this day and age of stretching your dollar, here's a car that's no stretch at all. The Mazda 626 Kronos. Perhaps the best family sedan in the country, the 626 Kronos combines elegant styling, standard dual airbags, outstanding performance, and Mazda's 5-year warranty. All at a lease rate that could save you a mint. The 626 Kronos. Oh, did I mention the incredible lease rate?
Speed is critical. On the road. And on the ice. Speed lets us reach our goals. But on the road, speed makes us all losers. Speeding is no game. On the road, speed kills.
34, extrication required.
Sometimes getting through the day can be a little difficult, and the going can get a little rough. But bolt yourself into a new Chevy Thunder SS, and suddenly life can be a heck of a lot of fun. With driver's side airbag, more room, a bigger engine, and more cargo space than Ranger, it's value priced at $13,995. Bolt yourself into a Thunder SS at your Manitoba Chevy dealers today. Your Value Center.
Never seen green Listerine before? That's new Fresh Burst Listerine. With a sensational burst of mint to kill the germs that cause bad breath. Come on, don't be chicken. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Wake up to new Fresh Burst Listerine.
Sometimes when the news seems unclear, we need a voice to guide us. People who can answer your questions and make the issues behind the day's news clear. Only on the morning edition from CBC Radio 990.
I know Elaine, but this one's a keeper. He's handsome, well-built, and reliable. He's fun to go places with, and he always makes me feel very comfortable wherever we are. I met him at a sale. What do you mean, is he loaded? Elaine? Of course he is. You know me, I know what I want. I think maybe she should meet you.
Toyota Camry. Loads to love. Now get 4.9% financing on selected vehicles during Red Tag Days at your Toyota dealer.
Men in speed stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of bigger. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. By Menon.
Chevy NHL Update, brought to you by Chevy Trucks, featuring the all-new Blazer. Chevy Trucks, like a rock.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light.
Your legs take a beating all day long. They shouldn't have to take one on the ride home. That's why Chevy has the most front and rear leg room of any full-size extended cab.
Welcome back to the catwalk high atop the Edmonton Coliseum, where the Jets lead the Oilers 2-1 at the end of 2 periods of play. Korolev with the go-ahead goal, and even as Sutton had the tire, you could see Freddie Brathwaite down in behind, pacing and getting ready. Two anxious young goaltenders in a very big game here. 5 in the NHL already complete. Let's take you around the story so far and begin with this afternoon's Dallas and Detroit affair, which was an honorable day for Sid Abel for the fans at Joe Louis Arena. There's the pivot of the famous production line as they raised his 12 to the rafters. Detroit celebrates with 2 points. Nicholas Lidstrom tied the game at 1-1 in the first period. In the second, Ray Shepard puts it away. That's the 3-1 goal for Detroit. That's in the second. The Wings have clinched the President's Trophy and home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. Darian Hatcher 2 in a losing cause. Shepard 30 on the year. The Wings win it by a count of 4-2 versus Dallas, who play San Jose in their final game on Monday night. The Wings will play Chicago in their next affair tomorrow. The Ottawa Senators run their win streak to 3 as they beat Salo and the Islanders by a score of 4-3. Turgeon with another pair. He's hot at the wrong time, unfortunately, for the Senators, but still gets them to 10 on the year. Ottawa 4 and the New York Islanders 3 in that one. The Quebec Nordiques are back on top in the Eastern Conference by 2 points. They lead the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Pens with a game in hand. Young, Kovalenko, Ricci, and Basson, the marksmen there, as they win it by a score of 4-1. Now to the Forum in Montreal, a big game for the Canadians. They try to stave off elimination in these last 2 at the home and home at Buffalo. Today they get a big break here as the Dominator is beaten, and that's a rare scene. Turner Stevenson 6th from Racine and Savage. Montreal goes ahead on Mark Recchi's 15th on the power play from Damphousse and Turgeon, but then in the waning seconds of period number 2, McGillney and Galley combined to set up Pat LaFontaine, his 12th of the year. Patrick Roy is very unhappy. He was great, though, in the third and in overtime, as was Hasek. 3-3 is the final. The Canadians can't catch the Sabres, so the highest they could get is 8th place. They're 2 points behind the New York Rangers in the fight for that position, tied with Hartford in that battle. Toronto was in Calgary to nudge a point ahead of the Chicago Blackhawks this evening. 2-2 the final at the Olympic Saddledome in a game seen by most of you on Hockey Night in Canada tonight. And here at the Edmonton Coliseum, it's the Winnipeg Jets leading Edmonton by a score of 2-1 after 2 periods of play.
Chevy NHL Update, brought to you by Chevy Trucks, featuring the all-new Blazer. Chevy Trucks, like a rock.
Winnipeg, here's a high five for making Eastern Chrysler, Royal on Regent, Pembina Dodge, Midway Chrysler, and Westport Chrysler, Winnipeg's Big 5 Chrysler dealers. With 5 of North America's best vehicles, a commitment to provide you with 5-star service, and a combined selection of more than 500 in-stock vehicles, we're committed to your satisfaction. Winnipeg's Big 5 Chrysler dealers.
The job is technical, but what we're doing for people is not. As a LensCrafters lab technician, basically I help people see better. We like to try to go above and beyond what somebody might expect. I'm glad that I work in an optical laboratory that's right there in the store so I can see what the result of my work is. The LensCrafters can do everything that goes into a quality pair of glasses in about an hour. If I'm not going to have some pride in what I'm doing, then why do it?
LensCrafters, helping people see better 1 hour at a time.
Just when you think the Royal Carriage can't get any better, it does. Presenting the Royal Rebate up to $1,250 plus no-charge air conditioning and no-charge 7-passenger seating. Or go for the Royal Gold. Get a 95 Royal Carriage for as little as $296.06 per month. With over 70 to choose from, there's never been a better time to ride home in a Royal Carriage. Treat yourself to a Royal visit today.
Here's an important price announcement for wheat farmers. Agrivo has just reduced the prices of 2 of the leading wheat herbicides, Puma and Triumph Plus, by $2 per acre. Now that the price is falling, there's even more value in using Puma and Triumph Plus to protect your wheat. Because when you multiply $2 by your total wheat acres, you're talking about a significant accumulation. Puma and Triumph Plus. New lower price, now greater value.
Looking for a great deal in a quality car? The 95 Buick Regal, now with dual airbags, sets the standard in affordable luxury. You want V6 power? No problem on this Buick Regal. But it costs a lot more on Camry. Air conditioning with dual zone control? Not available on Camry. And you want ABS?
Well, that's what did me on the import. I thought you wanted a great deal. Spend quality time in a Buick Regal for thousands less than an import at your Manitoba Pontiac Buick dealer.
The Edmonton Oilers with the edge in shots 21-15, but they trail the Jets 2-1 here at the Coliseum after 40 minutes of play. It would not be Saturday night without the Hot Stove League by satellite, and tonight we don't disappoint. Red Fisher joins our panel of the Montreal Gazette. He's in Toronto for the National Newspaper Awards, and of course Jim Houston and John Davidson is always aboard. Red, let's begin with you. The Montreal Canadiens, the New York Rangers, the last two titleists are in a dogfight to get in. How do you see it all taking shape?
I'll tell you this, guys. If the Montreal Canadiens make the playoffs, if they get in, they are just aching to get at the Quebec Nordiques. They feel they can beat the Nordiques. And some people out there, perhaps a lot of people out there, might start feeling that the Nordiques are ready for a fall. I mean, the Canadians, many of the players have told me during the past few days, just give us a chance against those guys. Obviously, a chance would mean they're in the playoffs, but they honestly feel they can handle the Nordiques.
Do you, John, do you think, and J.D., you watch goaltenders, do you think Facette, Thibault, that situation's set for the Nordiques?
Well, that's the situation, Jimmy. I don't think anybody has confidence in Quebec's overall situation right now, except for maybe the people in Quebec. But when you look at teams like Philadelphia, Quebec, you question the goaltending situation. As far as the Rangers go, they play in Philadelphia tomorrow afternoon against the Flyers. Then they have their last game at home Tuesday against the Florida Panthers. Florida plays that dreaded trap, and the Rangers hate the trap. The Rangers just lost last night to the Islanders, where Tommy Soderstrom looked like Ken Dryden and Grant Fuhr and Billy Smith in one. He was unbelievable, stopping 45, I think, shots on goal. The Rangers, though, Mark Messier and Adam Graves have sore backs. Messier has carried the team to this point, and right now they're in a situation where they're clawing and fighting for every point they can. It's still a question mark as to whether they're in or not.
What is the matter with them? I can't figure it out.
Well, I think they've come along in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They had won 6 of 8 until their loss last night. Again, they had 47 shots last night, even though they lost. They played pretty well. They're a very inconsistent team. Once they get leads, they don't have Esatikin and Craig McTavish. And I think for Neil Smith, who runs the team, he knows he's got to shore up the center ice position for next season.
John, do you need a Kleenex? Can I hand you a Kleenex? I mean, you've got to explain to me, you know, how the New York Rangers, Stanley Cup champions, can lose to a mediocre team like the New York Islanders at home.
I agree. I totally agree,
Well,
Red.
explain it to me.
I can't explain it. There's no reason. They played fairly well. They had 47 shots and they lost.
Are the Rangers mediocre?
The Rangers are better than mediocre, but they're not near the team they were 1 year ago. This is a 500 hockey club. They battled all year.
Okay.
All around the league, guys. All around the league.
Vancouver.
There's so much inconsistency. There's so much inconsistency that in this unusual season where everything is out of whack, all you got to do is get in. I don't think Quebec is the only team that's ripe to be knocked off. Maybe Pittsburgh could, so could Detroit. St. Louis is no lock. All you got to do is get in, get a hot goalie, get your best players playing like best players, and I think there could be upsets all over. There's been so many unusual things this season. The eighth seeds from both conferences could end up in the final.
Is San Jose going to win the Stanley Cup?
Nobody wants to play the Rangers if they get in, I'll tell you that.
And why would you? Nobody wants to play the Vancouver Canucks in the West, for example, and they're just going to squeeze in. Who would want to play Dallas in the trap? If they're 8th, they might give Detroit fits, although the Red Wings play the trap pretty well. That might not be the best matchup.
Jim, this is a funny year, though, with all the fuss about the lockout for the players to say, it's good enough to get in. This was a year you should have had a good regular season for the fans' sake, if nothing else. But Vancouver, you mentioned Brown got banged up last night. Tell me about them. They win at home, but they didn't go through Chicago and Toronto too successfully.
No, they didn't, although they played extremely well and should have won in Chicago. They were beaten in Toronto. They still have trouble against the Central Division teams. They still have trouble against teams that are over 500 and haven't played their best hockey. But on some nights, they're just like the Rangers, I suppose. They're like so many teams this season. They've been very inconsistent, and every once in a while, you see a hint of that team that was in the playoffs before. You hear the players talk about, well, when we get to the playoffs, that experience we had last year will help us, and maybe we can get it going again. And they're hoping, and so are their fans, that they can flick that switch. And nobody's really sure, but if Kirk McLean is as good as he has been on most occasions, and Pavel Bure lights it up, the Vancouver Canucks could easily knock off whoever they play. I don't think there's a team in the Western Conference they can't beat if their own game is together. So they're not worried about matchups.
Can I say something about the Canadians? You got to say something about Pierre Turgeon. I mean, I had my doubts about this guy, but he's done wonders with this team. I mean, he's lit a fire under that club, and if they do get into the playoffs, and it's still a big if, look out, because if he stays hot, they can do a whole lot out there, starting with knocking off the Nordiques if they do indeed meet them in the first round.
I like their nerve. Red Fisher, thanks to you. Good luck tonight. We'll know when this goes to air. And J.D. and Jim, we'll see you in 4 days' time.
The Nissan Quest has the sure handling of a luxury automobile, but it also has the interior space to seat 7 comfortably. Or 2 very comfortably. So much land. So few roads. Was Canada made for the Pathfinder? Or vice versa? Nissan, built for the human race.
I think...
There's more to broadleaf herbicides than crop safety and wild buckwheat control. That's why there's Refine Extra. Refine Extra's palm-sized container is easy to handle, and it controls the toughest broadleaf weeds in wheat and barley, including wild buckwheat and top growth control of Canada thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-'em-dead performance nothing can match.
Did you ever hear the old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is? Well, that pretty well describes most car commercials. But at Landau Lincoln Mercury, we don't sell that way. In fact, there's no hard sell at all. Just helpful, relaxed salespeople who will listen more than they talk.
Manual air conditioning. Give you all the information you want and make sure the price you pay is a fair one.
Landau Lincoln Mercury. What a dealership should be.
It was always hockey night in Canada at our place anyways. You know, sit around and watch our heroes. To be there and to beat Montreal in the Stanley Cup was just unbelievable.
The tradition of the Stanley Cup playoffs begin next Saturday.
Up in Edmonton, and tomorrow night, following late local news, the San Marino Grand Prix coming up here on CBC Sports. We've got the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets, and it's 2-1.
There are Jets fans everywhere. You think the Canadians and Leafs are the only teams that have fans out west, farther west? There's some Winnipeg fans. Why the license plate? Chris, tell me the significance of that.
Cannot come up with that.
They've changed the track of the San Marino Grand Prix. Slow it down after Ayrton Senna's tragic death last year. Time's a little slower, but should be an interesting race.
Tell you what, I like the chances of this being an interesting third period. Crowd making a noise in an uproar as they try to coax the Oilers to come back down 2-1. The Oilers 1-20-4 on the year when they trailed after 40 minutes. Arnott down, side of the net. Play whistle down as Jason Arnott is slow to get up, and now he's
going to go after
somebody's number.
Mike Eastwood's number. Jason Arnott's helmet goes off as easy as anybody's in the league. Mike Eastwood is one of the few players who is as big as Jason Arnott. Eastwood, I'll be there. Eastwood and Arnott racing for the puck. Little tug from Arnott on Eastwood. The elbow comes up, and Eastwood gives Arnott a little shot on the way down.
Well, all the scoring done in the second period. The Oilers outshot the Jets 11-8, but it was Solani opening the scoring on a power play. Jamnov Kachuk. Sutton got it back, but then the goal by Korolev, which is the difference in the hockey game so far. The only comeback win for the Oilers this year was in this building against Dallas. They trailed 1-0 against Andy Moog, and the Stars scored 2 late goals set up by Shane Corson to win it 2-1.
Winnipeg Jets have had a few 3-on-2s. This one ends up in the net. The 3-on-2, Jamnov and Solani on the 3-on-2. Jamnov back to Korolev, and Korolev's perfect shot off the crossbar. No chance for Fred Brathwaite. When those two, Selanne and Jamnov, are coming down, naturally the defense are going to key on them. And that allowed Korolev time and room to sneak in behind and get that shot away.
Peter White is now at center ice. Just his second shift of the game. Dueling against Eastwood, and the Jets get control. White on a line with Oliver and Corson. On low, trying to shuffle the deck to come up with a little bit of offense here. I've been pleased with the fact they were generating more offensive chances of late going into this game. Here's Tkachuk handing it off. Emerson in the corner. Now Tkachuk. Checked by Dean Kennedy. And Kennedy in turn handed it to Emerson. Here's Tkachuk. Boy, Eastwood was alone in front momentarily. Tkachuk still with it. Trying to get a shot away. Knocked down, and the Oilers will break out. Shane Corson at center. Hooked up by Shannon. Corson on his own as the Oilers are changing up. Corson puts it in front. Maltby goes to the net. Sutton driving. Got a couple of whacks at it. Here's Maltby shooting. Another shot by Waite. And that one deflected off Quintal with Harvey Bullen. Off the post. Big chance there for Edmonton. Sutton tees it up wide. Oilers now applying the pressure. Shannon with the backhand trying to clear. Kept in by Sutton. Into the corner, and Eastwood just gets rid of it. The length of the ice after the Oilers come very close to equalizing.
Stefan Quintal acted like a goaltender. His goaltender completely out of the play, and Quintal got the right leg out to make the save. Doug Waite shaking his head. Ken Sutton had a couple of good chances. Again, low on Habibulin. Puck comes out. Habibulin can't find it. Sutton has a whack again low. Another rebound. Habibulin makes a save. Puck comes out to Doug Waite. Off a defenseman out to Waite. Quintal, the right leg goes out. What a save by Stefan Quintal. He could be a star.
He was watching the old John Garrett tape.
That's right. I like to pick the goaltenders. Stefan Quintal looked like a goaltender on that one.
Well, let's bring you up to date again on that playoff race in the Eastern Division. The Canadians with that tie tonight. They've still got a game with Buffalo and against Boston. Hartford's out of it now, and it looks like the race is between the Rangers and Canadians for 8th spot.
Rangers a tough game against Philly tomorrow, and then Florida, and they haven't had much luck against Florida this year.
Tough task for the Canadians, though, in Buffalo, and then at home to Boston. And if they got by Buffalo, you know the Bruins would love to knock them out. Here's Kelly Buchberger. Now Selanne picks up the puck and starts down the right side. Gaining speed at the line, but Jamnov was pushed in offside.
Lots of talk around Teemu Selanne. As we said earlier, that rush, Alexei Jamnov pushed offside by Freddie Olofsson. Teemu Selanne, part of the top 20. Keith Tkachuk and Alexei Jamnov. Chris, you talked about the three of them with over 20 goals, and now, since they put Tkachuk with Eastwood and Emerson, they've got two pretty good lines. Korolev's fit in well with Jamnov and Selanne. And then the second line, Tkachuk, Eastwood, and Emerson. That's a pretty good forward line. You talk about teams you wouldn't want to play in the first round. If they get a hot goaltender, two good forward lines, you never know.
Alan, when Dallas Drake is playing, he sometimes can make the big three on three separate lines. Here's Marchand just deflecting wide. Put it in front, and Newman starts back. Teemu Selanne down his wrong wing, drops it to Jamnov. Jamnov looks for Korolev in front. Pass doesn't get through, and Buchberger starts back. With Thornton and Marchand, Ron Lowe's gone back to this old combination. As we approach the 3-minute mark of the third period, Marchand knocks his man down center ice, and here come the Oilers 3-on-2. Buchberger driving it wide. And Habibulin will cover up at the side of the net. So the Oilers are getting their chances, but haven't been able to beat Habibulin here in the third.
Introducing the
the special edition Civics from Honda with 16-valve fuel-injected engines.
Molson Breweries is proud to play its part by supporting the candidature of Quebec City to host the Olympic Winter Games of 2002.
Molson, the brewery of 2002.
What happens when a car offers the comfort of a luxury car and the performance of a sports car? What happens when the same car can outmaneuver expensive European sedans while getting the gas mileage of a four-cylinder compact? This is what happens. Presenting Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year, the Maxima from Nissan.
The league talks about clamping down on the clutching and grabbing. Well, how about the knee? Todd Marchand on Alexei Zhamnov. The right leg goes out, and not only are you taking a chance of cutting the other guy's knee, how about your own? Marchand had his leg out there, and he's lucky his skate turned around, or Marchand's knee could have been out, and he could have been out.
Kravchuk back in his own zone. Waite, Seeger, and Maltby are up front for the Oilers. Olczyk along with Gillen and King for the Jets. And Manson ahead to Olczyk. Checked by Kravchuk. Yuri Slager to Manson. Bad clearing attempt, puck in front, but the Oilers are able to cover. And Maltby backhands it up ahead and pushed out to center ice. Wilkinson there for Winnipeg. Knocked down by Kravchuk to Seeger. Cross ice it goes to Waite. He's checked, but following up Slager's shot. Blocked by Wilkinson. Puck lying loose, and the Jets get it out to center. Kravchuk and Slager both are willing to jump up in the play, and this time it's Slager down the right side. Toronto says sometimes you look up and it's 2-on-1, and it's Slager and Kravchuk for the Oilers. Wilkinson to Emerson. He hits Sutton with his clearing attempt. Tkachuk just skates away from it. And Slager has it for Edmonton. 4.5 minutes gone, third period. Still 2-1 Winnipeg. Here's Eastwood on the move off his skate, and Ken Sutton starts back. Sutton, who has the Oiler goal. Can't get by his man. Puck is loose. And here's the chance, and Kennedy couldn't pull the trigger. Emerson starts back. Tkachuk on the left side. As Emerson spins the backhand in on Brathwaite. Back to Quintel, and that shot lofting over the glass and into the crowd.
Nelson Emerson on Shane Corson, one-on-one. Corson played it pretty well. Emerson with the cute spinorama, but Fred Brathwaite held his ground well and made the save. Emerson talking to the Oiler bench. The bench is very close here. Emerson one-on-one on a forward. Corson plays it pretty well. Goes back, waits, takes the man. Emerson the spinorama, and Brathwaite with the easy save. Nelson Emerson has played a lot better after the trading deadline. His name came up all the time. A lot of teams wanted him, and yet the Jets couldn't make a deal they liked, so they kept him, and Emerson has really played well after the trading deadline, after that worry was off his mind.
He's really skated well tonight. Here's Sutton skating into the zone. Tees it up and right on Happy Boolin.
And Sutton has played very well. He's jumped to the net, created some offense in a game that the Winnipeg Jets have played pretty well defensively. Nikolai Habibulin again looks in his glove. He's not very confident with that left hand. Sutton lets it go. Habibulin off the wrist, looks. Yeah, I got it. Let's get a whistle. Good positioning by Habibulin. He's got those quick legs. He's very flexible. Gets in position. There's lots of rebounds, but you have to get to the net. And the way the Jets have played, those rebounds have been cleared.
Habibulin trying to even his record on the year at 8-4. And more importantly, get the Jets 2 points closer to the postseason. Gillen snaps the shot on Brathwaite, and he'll cover up. Shots now 24-17 in favor of the Oilers, but it's Winnipeg up by 1.
Randy Gillen out just to take that face-off and then ends up with a shot on Fred Brathwaite. Gillen's one of the best face-off guys in the league. He doesn't use much strength, but his quickness and his experience, he positions himself well in the face-off circle, has his shot, just make sure he hits the net. He's not going to score a whole lot of goals, but one of the reasons Mike Eagles was moved to Washington was because Randy Gillen was winning all their face-offs, and Eagles' position was no longer needed.
Oilers win that draw. Marchant away from Solani. Puck sliding down the ice, and Newman plays it off against Thornton and ahead to Jamnov. Korolev speeding into the zone. Olesen got there first and icing the call against Winnipeg.
Freddie Olesen has played very well tonight. He was injured, came back, and he has problems playing back-to-back nights because of that injury. Dean Kennedy has been substituting with Brian Marchman out. Kennedy's in anyway. Olesen has played much better in Edmonton than he did in Winnipeg. He's played a lot. He's played in defensive situations, and he was very rarely used in Winnipeg, other than when they got behind and they needed some goals because he could pass the puck so well and jump up into the play. Here in Edmonton, he's been their second or third defenseman all year long.
Had that great chance in the first period on the offense. Missed the net. Here's Marchant looking for the tire. And he whipped the shot wide, and it's out for Eastwood. And Gillen back to Eastwood on the right side to the net. And Brathwaite covering up as Gillen deflected. Here come the Oilers. Buchberger down the right wing. Marchant shooting for the net, and Richardson held up by Chris King. Great defensive play by King. Richardson flipping it in wide. Randy Gillen flipping it out to center ice. Buchberger, across the line it goes. Olesen to Marchant, the shot wide. Seeger off the bench, puts it behind the net, and play is whistled down.
Net knocked off its moorings. Mark Fawcett has words with Kelly Buchberger. The Oilers complaining about the 3-on-2 where Luke Richardson was in the slot. The pass came across, and as you said, Chris King came back and took Luke Richardson. King is able to get Richardson from behind. Richardson's not the best skater in the world, and Chris King gives him the tug so that he can't reach for the puck. Good play by King, and no penalty called by Mark Fawcett.
A gutsy effort by King, who hasn't been able to walk for a couple of days after the injury against Detroit. Questionable starter until after the warm-up tonight. But he has turned in a gritty performance in Winnipeg's biggest game of the year. 13:20 to go. Third period, still 2-1 Jets. Kravchuk ahead to Seeger, lost control of it, and Tkachuk almost had a break. Now out at center ice, Seeger giving chase, but Tkachuk got there first. Doug Waite, cross ice. Sent in by Slager. Here's Waite with the loose puck, puts it in front. Maltby missed the pass. He was uncovered. And back comes Emerson with Tkachuk. Here's Keith Tkachuk teeing it up right on Brathwaite. Now Maltby winding up. Here's Kirk Maltby to the line. Seeger picks up the loose puck to Slager. Checked by Korolev, and Solani starts back. Solani looking for help. Jamnov breaking to the net. Shot. Brathwaite looked behind him, and then Rob Korolev. Oh, what a stop by Fred Brathwaite with Igor Korolev on the doorstep.
Introducing the special edition Civics from Honda with 16-valve fuel-injected engines, Honda's double wishbone suspension, and power-assisted rack and pinion steering. Now add air conditioning, AM/FM stereo cassette, center console armrest, digital clock, passenger side vanity mirror, full wheel covers, and other special features for a very special edition. So much for so little. So hurry.
Remember when all your hard work first paid off? The first time you helped someone, just to help. The first time you were in control. It's an honest feeling that never goes away. It's something special. And that makes all the difference. The Birchwood Automotive Group. 8 dealerships, 1 company. Remember your first trip to the gym?
During our hot stove, we were talking about the best players being the best players. Solani and Zhamnov have played very well. Solani to Zhamnov, Zhamnov going to the net. Fred Brathwaite, 2 great saves. 1 there, and then Igor Korolev on the Desperado. Brathwaite had the glove out and open to make the save.
Korolev has the go-ahead goal for Winnipeg and was looking for a little jet insurance there. The Oilers have had their chances in the third. Here's Oliver with the shot. Corson behind the net. Oliver back up with Corson and Arnott. Shane Corson to Oliver. Shot blocked by Shannon. Oliver again. Corson behind the net, watched by Zhamnov. Trying to spin away from Zhamnov. Comes up with the puck again against Quintal. Centers it, kicked out by Habibulin. And the Jets relieve the pressure by sending it into the Winnipeg bench.
Chris, get ready for this. If there is a tie, and with this short season and so many teams so close, the first condition is most wins. Team with most wins naturally will get in. And then it goes to teams with the most head-to-head meetings. How you've done in those is you won 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 5. But if you played 5, the first game that you played at home, if you had 3 games at home, doesn't count. That's thrown out. You want a sidebar yet? Should we get Lancito in here?
I may need a slide rule. But
and then the third, goal differential in head-to-head meetings. And if there's 3 teams tied, then it goes to percentage among the 3 teams. It does get quite complicated. But I don't think we'll have to worry about it. The way the schedule looks, I think we'll have clear-cut top 8 in both divisions.
Well, I've got a simpler formula. Winnipeg wins 3 games, or Edmonton wins 3 straight to close out the year. They're in. Olchek putting it in front. Randy Gillen was there. Couldn't find the loose puck. And Corson is able to deflect it out to center. Newman fires it back in. Here's King on the short side. Arnott can't clear it out, and Chris King is after it again. He was second star in the meeting between these 2 teams on Tuesday night and has played a tough role here again for the Jets. Just past the 9-minute mark of the third period, and Buchberger wheeling at center with Corson on his right. And Corson was offside on a close call.
You talked about Kelly Buchberger and what he adds to the line. He drives to the net. But his scoring touch, nobody has ever said Kelly Buchberger would be a proficient scorer. He had some toughness, creates some open ice. But when he does get the scoring chances, Shane Corson half a stride over. Mike Eastwood coming back. Buchberger has 2 or 3 good scoring chances tonight where he's missed the net or he's shot it right at Nikolai Habibulin.
Buchberger really excels in the category of game-winning goals. 5 of his 7 goals this year have won games for the Oilers. They'd like to get a tying goal right now. Buchberger trying to keep it in along the wall, and the Jets clear it out. Kravchuk back in his own zone, chased by Tkachuk. And Yuri Slager. Pass ahead, Marchand couldn't handle it. The Newman sends Winnipeg back in. Eastwood first hand of the puck, hit by Slager. Slager up the boards. Thornton can't get it by Mikulchik. Now Solani dumps it back in. And trying to urge the home squad on here. We've just gone by the 10-minute mark, third period. And it's still Winnipeg leading 2-1. Thornton with a nice move at Maltby, flying into the zone. Zhamnov handling him defensively, and a glove stop by Habibulin.
Maltby using by Thornton, goes by McCoolchick. Jamnov comes back and makes sure that Maltby can't cut across. Grabs him. And there's Nikolai Habibulin with that left hand out to make the save. Again, the shot right along the ice.
Well, call it superstition, whatever. One of the concerns Ron Lowe had today was that it was Saturday. And this is the only day of the week the Oilers have not won this year. They're 0-5.
And what position did Ron Lowe play as a player? And why do you think the superstitions are heavily involved in his game?
Yep, the old goaltender from Bertle, Manitoba. There's Terry Simpson chomping on the gum because he knows that the Oilers still a long way from going 0-6 on Saturdays in '95. Tell you what, the Oilers have won their share of games on Hockey Night in Canada in the past, so I don't think we're responsible.
No.
Quintel flipping it high in the air, and Dean Kennedy back to get it. Kennedy hounded there, and King will chop it back in behind the goal. Seeger flipping it out to center. The Jets were making a change, and Dave Manson back in his own zone. Quintel out to center. And not a lot of flow right now as Olesen will try and set things up. Got to be careful with Jamnov all over him. Ahead it goes to Waite. And Waite checked by Solani. Teemu Solani turning back. Poke check by Olesen, and that puts the play offside. Down to 8:36 to go in the third period. Jets holding on to the one-goal lead.
The Nissan Quest has the sure handling of a luxury automobile, but it also has the interior space to seat 7 comfortably. Or 2 very comfortably. So much land. So few roads. Was Canada made for the Pathfinder? Or vice versa? Nissan, built for the human race.
There's more to broadleaf herbicides than crop safety and wild buckwheat control. That's why there's Refine Extra. Refine Extra's palm-sized container is easy to handle, and it controls the toughest broadleaf weeds in wheat and barley, including wild buckwheat and top growth control of Canada thistle. Refine Extra. A knock-'em-dead performance nothing can match.
Welcome back to the Edmonton Coliseum. The fans trying to urge the home side on, but some anxious times now as the Jets continue to lead this one 2-1. Jamnov, Solani, and Korolev. It's been the big line tonight for Winnipeg. Up against Arnott, Oliver, and Corson. Reunited here in the third period. Shannon back in his own zone. Oliver crashing in there, causes the turnover. Arnott behind the net. Jason Arnott now, side of the net. Olesen tried to edge in. He was picked up by Solani. Arnott dumped. Gets it to Corson. Olesen was uncovered in front. They can't get him the puck. Now Olesen in behind the net, dragged down by Solani. Arnott picks up the loose puck. Jason Arnott with a chance. Habibulin short side, puck centered. And Korolev back as the Oiler big line coming close. Now Korolev back. Jamnov left wing. Buchberger on him. And Richardson turns. Luke Richardson at center with 7.5 minutes left. Checked by Chris King. King rubbed out by Buchberger. Arnott tries to feed it ahead. Buchberger overskates it, takes a hit, and Buchberger slow to get up. He was belted by King. You know, when King did not take the skate this morning, Ron Lowe was wondering if 17 would be in the Winnipeg lineup tonight and made it clear that would be key for Winnipeg, and he's been right.
That was a big hit, but a good, clean hit by Chris King, and Buchberger, who had hit King before, just took a good hit. Linked off to the bench.
Thornton keeps it in for Edmonton. Marchand in behind the net. Thornton goes after it. Mike Stapleton out with this line now. The cool check to the line and pass Kravchuk down the ice. Brathwaite quickly ahead, saw the Jets changing it up. Here's Marchand, and he just offside.
Long lead pass ruled offside by Randy Mitten. Chris, you've got some friends in the stands tonight.
Yes, we had a little visit, and Ron McLean's going to have a visit with some associates of mine.
Yes. Barbara Underhill and Paul Martini are here, Chris, and that was, I think, a triple Salchow that Marchand should have drawn a penalty, but it was offside. How is it watching it here, Barb?
Oh, it's very intense here tonight. It's great for us to be here. We've got a night off. We're skating with Stars on Ice, and it's very enjoyable, but you'd think something was on the line here tonight.
You bet. Two great shows. Yours tomorrow night, too. And, Paul, I know you've been listening a lot of the game to critique your mate there. How's Cuthbert doing?
Well, upstairs I saw he and John earlier, and he had these specs on. I said, Chris, what's with the specs? You never wear them with skating. He says, that's because I never have to see anything in skating. So obviously he's got to keep his eye on the puck out there.
You two did a marvelous job carrying him in Birmingham, as I thought you would. Way to go, Chris.
And how about McLean? He's got the terminology right. Last week, you with the double whammy.
Double whammy.
Here come the Oilers. Wait, twisting, trying to find an opening. Sutton going to the net. Stick check by Javi Bulin. Well, these Oiler defensemen really pushing up now. Trying to create that odd man situation. Seeger. And now a shot by Waite goes off Murray. Jets having trouble clearing it. Manson over the glass and out of play. 5:41 left.
Chris, we talked about the conditions. If there is a tie in the head-to-head season series, the Winnipeg Jets have no edge whatsoever. Los Angeles Kings played pretty well against Winnipeg. Anaheim is just about out of it. LA plays Anaheim tomorrow in a big game for the LA Kings. San Jose plays very well at home. They got 3 home games left. Some tough opponents. Played Dallas in a big game, and then they finish with the Vancouver Canucks. Chris King, good solid hit, goes around Yuri Slager, gets the hip out, and a good solid hit on Kelly Buchberger at the edge of the boards. And Buchberger's hip hit the edge, and he limped off to the bench.
From the face-off, Oliver chopped it wide. And now Quintel ahead to Korolev and Jamnov. Trying to get by Olesen as the puck slides in, and Brathwaite plays it around. Dane Corson. Next to Olesen, his pass broken up, and Jamnov will start back with Solani. Teemu Solani working against Richardson, who made the check and then gave it back. Solani feeds the point. Shannon tees it up, shot, kick to the corner. Shannon will get another chance. Puts it in behind the net, there's Korolev. Richardson on him. 4 in the corner, Arnott kicked it free, and Shannon puts an easy shot off, but the rebound, Solani scores! The rebound came to Jamnov, and Solani makes it 3-1 Winnipeg.
Red Brathwaite hasn't made many mistakes tonight, but that was one. He kicked the rebound right out, and he got no help. The rebound goes out. Solani, we saw the shots earlier on Habibulin. When you're going to go up top, you go right up top. The good goal scorers can hit that. Solani hits the water bottle. It's right in the roof. But the original shot from Daryl Shannon should have been kicked to the corner, not right straight back out.
Solani with his second tonight and his 6th against the Oilers on the year. Jamnov has his 3rd assist. And Daryl Shannon also getting a point on the goal at 15:08, and it's 3-1 Jets. And here's a check, and Chris King has a break. King in, scores! Chris King makes it 4-1. 17 seconds apart, and the Jets have broken it open.
Chris King has had a strong game. You talk about his importance. Ron Lowe was hoping that Chris King couldn't play. The giveaway, Todd Marchand at the blue line. Everybody is headed up ice. Marchand tries to go through Chris King, pulls to the backhand, a quick backhand. He didn't give Fred Brathwaite time to get over. King moves it to his backhand, shoots right away. And Brathwaite can't get the hand up.
Oh, what a great night for Chris King. His 4th goal of the year, 17 seconds after Solani had made it 3-1. And the Jets are in control as they look for just their 2nd road win in 14 starts. But it couldn't come at a better time. 4.5 minutes left.
There's only one Best Buy minivan sale, because there's only one minivan to win Car Guide's 1995 Best Buy Award, Chrysler Magic Wagon. And now get Canada's best-selling minivan with dual airbags, air conditioning, automatic transmission, powerful V6 engine, and more for this Best Buy price that challenges every minivan on the road. Only $17,488. Your local Chrysler dealer's Best Buy minivan sale. Only at the original minivan store.
Extra Gold, a simple case of one-shot weed control.
Ron Lowe showing his frustration. Terry Simpson, it's hard to tell he's ahead 4-1 with only 4:30 left. The Edmonton Oilers did not hit like they did against the St. Louis Blues, like they did on Tuesday night against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. A very cautious start, a very tentative, nervous start by the Oilers, and they just never recovered.
4:20 to play, and now a 3-goal lead. And there's so much talk about the young Oilers. Maybe the inexperience showing through here in this 3rd period. Martin brings it in, but Thompson way offside on the play.
And you talk about your best players being your best players. Teemu Selanne has been very good. Alexei Zhamnov has been very good. Keith Tkachuk's line's played well. Chris King has played well. On the Oilers, who would you pick? You'd pick Shane Corson. You'd pick Doug Weight. You'd pick Jason Arnott. Corson has not played very well tonight. Jason Arnott has not played very well tonight. Doug Weight, so-so. Those 3 guys, you compare the best players on both teams, and it's been the Jets' best players who have been the best.
You know, there is a scenario in which both these teams will make the playoffs, and that would be if Winnipeg won tonight in their last 2 against Chicago and Los Angeles. The Oilers' only chance with a loss tonight would be to beat Toronto on Monday night and to finish with a win in Calgary. They'd also need some help.
You look at the Winnipeg Jets bench. They haven't won in the last 3 visits over 2 seasons here at Edmonton. Now they're not in the Pacific Division anymore. The Winnipeg Jets in the Central Division. But under Terry Simpson, they played pretty well on the road. They had a tie in Detroit. They had a win in Chicago and then a disappointing loss in Dallas.
Kravchuk with the shot wide. If this lead holds, here's a chance for the Oilers. Puck goes into the corner. If this lead holds, Simpson would be 2 games over 500 since taking over. Puck centered in front, and Happy Bullen again as Peter White with the deflection.
Yeah, sorry, Chris, you have to give Randy Carlyle a lot of credit. Terry Simpson and Randy Carlyle came in together. Simpson, the assistant coach, he's been there all the time. Carlyle really added some enthusiasm to that Winnipeg bench. They were getting to the point where they weren't confident, they were listless, they had no personality. You'd watch their pregame skates and you'd say, how could this team get ready to play a game? And Randy Carlyle, he's such an positive individual that he's really added that to this team. You watch their practices, they're enthusiastic, they're upbeat, they're high tempo, and it carries over into the game.
Well, you have to give the players credit, too. They've been in a real week of turmoil in Winnipeg, but have put that aside again today. There's even concern today that a lot of the Jets will be more focused on the announcements from Gary Bettman in Winnipeg this afternoon than on the game tonight, but they've stuck to business. Murray behind the goal. Randy Gillen now. Pushes it aside. Here's the chance side of the net in front. Loose puck. They score! Gillen! And it's 5-1 Winnipeg.
Peter White, who is taking a shift for Jason Arnott on this line, loses his defensive coverage in front of Fred Brathwaite. Arnott has not been very good tonight. White was getting a shift, trying to create something for Ron Lowe. And the working aggressive line, Ed Olczyk throws it across. Gillen goes to the net. Slager lets him go. And Gillen's right there to bang it by Fred Brathwaite.
Well, the Jet fans at the Edmonton Coliseum have reason to celebrate tonight. Now the fourth line for Winnipeg chips in. Gillen from Olczyk and Murray. And that's now 3 goals in a minute 48.
Young Oiler team, Chris, you talked about it, that fragile confidence. Once things start to go bad, they can go real bad, or they can bounce back. And tonight, for the Oilers, once they started to go poorly, it just continued on. And as much as Fred Brathwaite has played pretty well, and it doesn't really matter now, the team plays better in front of Bill Ranford. They're more confident. They know they can afford to take more chances. They can give up a couple of 2-on-1s to create some good scoring chances, and they didn't do that tonight, playing in front of their backup goaltender.
Here's Mike Stapleton on right wing. Buchberger goes after it and chops it Happy Boulin. Buchberger behind the net, tries to center it. Stapleton tied up, and again, Happy Boulin comes up with the puck.
Saw Jason Arnott sitting on the bench with his helmet almost off as Ron Lowe has sat him down. There's a look at Arnott. Ron Lowe talks about Jason Arnott. There's no captain on this Edmonton team. Shane Corson was stripped to the sea earlier in the season, but he says Jason Arnott eventually will be a captain in the NHL, has to grow up, and you keep forgetting these guys are only 20 years old. Played a couple of years in the NHL already, and with the junior draft going up a year, I think it will help youngsters coming out of junior that are forced to play right away in the NHL. They'll be a little older, a little wiser, and a little more ready to handle the pressures in the NHL.
2:39 to go as Rob Murray digging in. Another former Peterborough junior. We've seen Chris King tonight. I'll get that in before you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Dave Manson checked, and Stapleton tees it up. Kicked out by Happy Boulin. He's made 27 saves tonight. Buchberger sends it over on the right side. And Wilkinson to Brent Thompson. Barry Simpson using all the troops in the third period. Craig Martin on the ice. Thompson deep into the Oilers zone, takes a look, just drops it off as the Jets completing a change now. And Buchberger, with exactly 2 minutes to go, loses it. But Thornton comes up with it, and the Oilers break out. Here's Thornton to the line. Buchberger, band on the shot, and it goes wide into the corner. Thompson can't clear it. Luke Richardson at the point. Sends it toward the net and wide. And Manson just clears out to center. Ahead for Doug Waite. Chipped in by Richardson and Olczyk. Side of the net checked by Waite. He puts it in front, and the Jets clear it the length of the ice. Well, the fans getting on Brathwaite. Tough spot. Almost gave it away to Olczyk there. Doug Waite's scoring streak of 9 games is 66 seconds from ending. Under a minute to go now. Here's Waite looking to center, checked on the play, and Shannon lofts it down the ice. Here's Shannon at the point. That's blocked. Quintel moving up, and it's gloved down by Brathwaite. And he's forced to play it. Maltby just clearing it out to center. So the Oilers won both games in Winnipeg this year, but here at the Edmonton Coliseum, the Jets will record 1 win and 1 tie. And this victory, the biggest one so far this year. At center, it's Oliver moving in. And the final 10 seconds here. The countdown's on as the Jets eye the clock and try to flip it out. One last chance and a shot on Happy Bullen. That's been the story tonight. Too tough for the Oilers, and the Winnipeg Jets with an enormous victory.
Winnipeg Jets played a very solid defensive game and got a big game out of their star players. The Edmonton Oilers did not. Great goaltending by Nikolai Habibulin, building on his win over the Detroit Red Wings on Thursday night. And the Jets, headed down the stretch, might have found their #1 goaltender.
28 saves for Habibulin on the night. Some of the huge variety when this was a tight 2-1 game, and Fred Brathwaite had a tough spot to come in tonight and performed admirably into the third period before the Jets were able to break it open. So let's update the standings now. Through this final Saturday night of the regular season, the Jets move into the tie with San Jose. Sharks with a game in hand and do have extra wins on the Jets in a tie-break situation, but Winnipeg still with a couple of games to do damage, and the Oilers, although not out of it, suffer a real blow to their playoff chances tonight. Once again, the final score, Winnipeg 5, Edmonton 1. Our Molson Cup 3-star selection after this.
Don't ask me what makes a relationship. Ask my partner over there. She does all the work. She's good looking, utterly dependable, great with the kids, totally trustworthy, rain or shine, and she never ever asks for the sports section while I'm reading it. Is that perfect or what? But hey, ask her yourself. I gotta warn you though, she's the quiet type.
Toyota Corolla, quite possibly man's best friend.
Now get 4.9% financing on selected vehicles during Red Tag days at your Toyota dealer. Hurry.
The last time we were here was when I proposed. 10 years. It seems like only yesterday. I told you then how much I loved you, and nothing's changed.
The Diamond Anniversary Band. On your 10th, show her you'd marry her all over again.
All right, my Canadian Tire credit card points added up in no time. Now I can use them on anything in the whole store. What should I use my points on? Something like this or something like that? Excuse me.
Only the Canadian Tire card makes it easy to redeem points instantly for merchandise or great discounts right in the store.
I'll use my points on a new saw. Yes. Hi, I'd like to get this saw and use my points.
The only hard part's deciding what you want.
Wait, maybe a tool chest. Oh.
There's a lot more to Canadian Tire for a lot less.
Pyramids have been built in honor of 3 kings, 7 pharaohs, and 1 four-door. It's the car that set a new standard for reliability and satisfaction. The car 100% of its owners said they'd gladly buy again. The Maxima from Nissan. CAA Pyramid Award winner for 1995.
Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Special Dry. A world without aftertaste.
Back at the Edmonton Coliseum, where the Winnipeg Jets put the finishing touches on their big victory, the Molson 3 stars tonight. The number 3 stars standing by to be interviewed, Chris King. And the number 2 stars also in studio. You'll hear from Teemu Selanne. And the number 1 star in a battle of, I'm sure, nervous young netminders, Nikolai Habibulin, again stellar for the Jets in goal as they pace themselves to a 5-1 victory and a critical 2 points to move into the tie with San Jose, albeit the Sharks with more victories. Chris, congratulations. Tell me about the game.
Well, it was a must-win for us. Obviously, we knew how important every game was down the stretch, and
we were playing a team that had our number. You know, we lose twice to them in 8 days, and we came in here and we just said nothing was going to take this one away from us.
Kevin Lowe said, and a lot of the Oilers did back in '84, I'm not saying this is about the Stanley Cup, but they learned from the Islanders you got to play with pain, and Teemu over here all year has been getting shots in the knee, and I know you were really banged up. Tell me about the extent of your injuries and how you played through them for tonight.
Well, I mean, you want to be part of it. You want to be in every game. I had a little problem with the medial collateral. They froze it before the game. It felt okay, and then again between the second and third. I mean, you just got to be, you know, you got to be part of it. You got to be out there, and you know, everybody's playing through pain. We played every other day for the last 2 weeks, and a lot of banged up guys. But the games are more important to us. We need to win.
You were lamenting before the game. I remember the night that Alexei had the 5 goals in Los Angeles. We cut to that game. It ended up 7-7. You had a great game in Detroit. Ended up what 5-5. There's a lot of could-have-beens, but this 2 points really helps make up for that. But tell me about this last month. The team looks to be really going well.
Well, you know, since we made the change and John tried to spark us by stepping down and putting Terry in there, we played with a lot more confidence. You mentioned some games that we should have won. We didn't. We didn't go in the tubes after that. We bounced back and had a big win after each one of those. And the team's got a little more composure, playing a little more hard and a lot more confidence. And you know, the team that gets hot down the stretch is a team that goes places in the playoffs. We've got 2 big games that we must win. We won in Chicago last week. We're going in there with the idea we're going to win again, and then we got LA at home the next night. If we win those 2 games, we'll be in the playoffs.
We'll look at the standings a little bit. Tell me how you match up against first the Blackhawks.
Well, they're a good hockey team, and they've gotten rid of their losing woes, and you know, they won a couple in there, but we got to go in there and play in the way we did, tight, and you know, it's a must-win for us, so we got to play that way.
In Los Angeles, I mentioned that 7-7 tie. How have you gone against the Kings this year?
You know, they've played us pretty tight, but I think we feel that we can play them on any given night. Both they were a pretty explosive club, so are we, but we got to play tighter against them, obviously, and work their defense, and I think that you know, if we can ride this wave, we'll see what happens on Tuesday when we're all done.
I want to ask you a final thing about Tony before we go away. I said happy birthday to your mom on April 11th. That was her 50th, and I got to know your family quite well. Your brother, of course, had been diagnosed with leukemia, had the bone marrow transplant. This was 3 years ago, right. And how's he doing?
He's doing great. He's back to work. He's been back to work for a while. Leading a normal life. Sister's doing good. The whole family's doing great. I'd like to say hi to them all, and I know Mom really appreciated the call.
Yeah, it's great. I always remember the only stupid part of that whole story. We were all excited to go to the hospital to see Tony and found out he worked for the other brewery. Got to put a damper on our Molson Hockey telecast.
Just black out that brewery's label on his hat.
That's right. Tony, we love you anyway, in spite of that. And Chris, congratulations on the 2 points.
Thanks,
we'll hear from Teemu Selanne in a minute, but to take a break, let's go up to the broadcast booth with Chris Cuthbert and John Gary.
Well, Ron, all season long we've heard that how can a team like the Winnipeg Jets miss when they've got guys like Selanne, Zhamnov, and Tkachuk, and we saw a reason for that argument tonight because they were great.
We really did, and Glenn Sather and John Paddock both talked about the teams being nervous to start with, but the big line for Winnipeg, Alexei Zhamnov and Teemu Selanne, along with Igor Korolev, they carried the play, and every time they were on, they were dangerous, and they played like stars, and the Edmonton Oilers didn't get that performance out of their stars.
Which is surprising because the Oilers got back into this playoff race because of their stars in recent games with Ron Lowe. It didn't seem like they got over the nerves tonight, though.
They didn't at all, and I think one of the keys to this game, not just Bill Ranford not playing, the team plays different in front of Bill Ranford than they do. I felt sorry for Fred Brathwaite because he played very well. He kept it close until about 5 minutes left, but their power play in the first period, they had 3 power play chances in the first period and had maybe 1 or 2 good scoring chances. Had they scored early on Nikolai Habibulin, destroyed his confidence, maybe they could have run it.
Let's close the book on the ice times tonight of some of the key players that we were watching. There you see it for Zhamnov and Tkachuk. Maybe not as much ice time as we would have expected, but even in the third period, we saw Terry Simpson going to the 4 lines effectively.
Terry Simpson, he broke up the big line. He put Igor Korolev there, and they have some magic. Keith Tkachuk, 2 good lines. Shane Corson and Jason Arnott. Jason Arnott, after about the 13-minute mark of the third period, he was sitting in front of Ron Lowe on the bench with his helmet almost off.
Well, it was a terrific effort by the Jets. Teemu Selanne was one of the best players on the ice, and he's standing by with Ron.
Yes, no doubt about that, Chris. Teemu, we were just chatting. I thought you were chartering out to Chicago tonight for that Monday game, but you're staying over?
Yeah, we stay over here, and we have charter tomorrow morning, so I think that's better. We can rest here and sleep overnight and go tomorrow.
Absolutely. How did you feel tonight?
Oh, I felt great. I think all team played a good game, and we knew that this game is going to be a most important game in this season, and we have a good effort, and I'm happy that we played well.
You sure did. Let's look at the goal, first of all, 5:40 or so into the first period that gave your team the lead. Nice play here.
Well, Alex is so great playmaker. He can see ice so well, and my brother can shoot that in, so it was so good.
He wouldn't put that in. No, he's too nice to the goalies. That's his problem. And here's the other.
Well, it's a straight play with Alex. It's unbelievable, you know.
Nikolai Habiabulin battling with Freddie Brathwaite. Nikolai's really been great for you this year.
Well, Nikolai has played really well, and he's going to help this team a lot in the future. And but now we have a really two good, really hot goalies right now. Chevy's playing unbelievable, and Nicky too. So it's good for our team.
Comment about yourself. It's always tough talking about yourself, but you came over here and took this whole Canada and the NHL by storm, and then lots of things have sort of conspired to get you. First the Achilles tendon, and now the knee injury. Tell me about the frustration of being overseas now and having to go through all this.
Well, of course, when I have some kind of injury, it's gonna be a little bit frustrating because I can't give 100% for the team and I can't help the team so much. But you know, you just have to fight through and try the way to help the team more. And like now, I have a bad knee, so sometimes I can play only 15 minutes in the third line, and I try to help my team that way. But you know, of course, I know it's a great feeling when you're healthy and you can play 100%.
Well, you were flying in the first period tonight. Congratulations. Good luck at Chicago and then back home against Los Angeles.
Thank you.
And good luck. I hope the franchise stays. What do you think about that?
Well, it doesn't look good, but we still have a hope to stay in Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg is a great hockey town, and I really enjoy being there, but well,
tough. They need the money. You're right. Yeah. Well, the latest we hear, if you're tuning in late, Gary Bettman did meet with the three levels of government today. They have not said it's etched in stone, the May 1st deadline. They're willing to look at what the MEC will do in the next couple of days to come back at the NHL and maybe show that they have what it takes to keep the team there. Well, hope it's that, and good luck.
Thank you.
There's Teemu Selanne of the Winnipeg Jets, the number 2 star in tonight's 5-1 triumph over the Edmonton Oilers. There's that finish flash. Pair for Teemu tonight. We'll be back to Edmonton in just a moment.
Introducing the new Accord V6. New from Honda, the V6 redefined.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Laird, reminding you to watch Him Sing this week. We'll be featuring a program from a past season, and we'll show it in its entirety. So if you're one of our viewers who still asks about past chorus members, here is your chance to enjoy some familiar faces and voices once again. Remember, though, to check your local television listings for our new and earlier time, and join us this Sunday for some nostalgia and, of course, some great music.
On Country Canada, the gray fields of Sable Island. A novel birth control program may save these fields from hunters' guns.
The particular approach we're taking for birth control is using immunology. It functions to prevent the sperm from attaching to the egg, so she's protected.
That's Sunday on Country Canada.
Hi, I'm Bruce Steele, host of What on Earth? And these are some of my guests. Every weekday morning on CBC TV, we talk about everything from parenting to world peace, travel and finance, gardening, gamesmanship, love, life, happiness, and other matters of the spirit. Good ideas, useful information, and fun, too. What on Earth? Weekdays on CBC television.
Back in Edmonton, where the Winnipeg Jets won it tonight 5-1, a heartbreaker for the Oilers. We want to look around the NHL just to recap. Detroit won 4-2. Paul Coffey, 3 points. He's got 58. Eric Lindros likely to get the Hart Trophy, but as the fellows upstairs are saying, a great argument can be made for Coffey the way he's set. Nordiques are back 2 points ahead of Pittsburgh, and they win it 4-1 versus Tampa. Montreal can't catch